graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Jeez, are my parents seriously gonna get divorced? All right, Rick, I'm gonna go to my...
Not so fast, Morty. You heard your mom. We've got adventures to go on, Morty. Just you and me. And sometimes your sister and sometimes your mom. But never your dad. You wanna know why, Morty? Because he crossed me.
Okay, take it easy, Rick. That's dark.
Oh, it gets darker, Morty. Welcome to the darkest year of our adventures. First thing that's different, no more dad, Morty. He threatened to turn me into the government, so I made him and the government go away.
Oh...
I've replaced them both as the de facto patriarch of your family and your universe. Your mom wouldn't have accepted me if I came home without you and your sister, so now you know the real reason I rescued you. I just took over the family, Morty, and if you tell your mom or sister I said any of this, I'll deny it, and they'll take my side because I'm a hero, Morty. And now you're gonna have to go and do whatever I say, Morty, forever. And I'll go out and I'll find some more of that Mulan Szechuan teriyaki dipping sauce, Morty. Because that's what this is all about, Morty. That's my one-armed man. I'm not driven by avenging my dead family, Morty. That was fake. I'm driven by finding that McNugget sauce. I want that Mulan McNugget sauce, Morty. That's my series arc, Morty. If it takes 9 seasons, I want my McNugget dipping sauce, Szechuan sauce, Morty. That's what's gonna take us all the way to the end, Morty. 9 more seasons, Morty. 9 more seasons until I get that dipping Szechuan sauce. For 97 more years, Morty. I want that McNugget sauce, Morty.
It's just a coincidence that you were talking about the Jack and Triumph show, and I'm here. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, guy who makes all those unlistenable podcasts over at smodcast.com, and you're listening to the Two Strangers, One Podcast. This is podcasting.
You're listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes or on the Stitcher app for Android devices. Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net. Now, here's Chris Cologne and Paul Pasquillo.
Well, hello and welcome to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Jen.
And it is just us, the Justice League. Right before we started recording, Jen, I want to thank Jen for hosting this podcast here. She was watching Batman v Superman. Are you watching that on demand?
No, it's on HBO.
Oh, okay. It just happens to be on HBO when I show.
Yeah, really, I wasn't watching it, but still, yeah, it's on.
See, I'm over here. I thought I was special. I thought you put it on because I was coming over. I was like, what is Chris like? Even though we're recording this, Supergirl's over right about now on the East Coast. What else do they give Mondays? What's the Monday show?
It's not Monday.
Oh, it's Tuesday. Oh, so that's no.
Right.
So, all right, so we missed the Flash.
Which is another reason why I'm sitting in right there too, because you're 2.5 weeks behind.
Yeah, we haven't put out an episode. We haven't put out an episode since March 9th, and that was because first, Paul got the flu, and then he gave his fiance, from him having the flu, he gave it to his fiance. Mm-hmm. So then I couldn't. So that was 2 weeks right there that kind of wiped out their household. Then there was a time I wanted to see if maybe we could record.
And I got the food poisoning.
And you got food poisoning.
Boy, did I get food. Oh, that was bad. Horrible. Anyhow.
What did you eat, or do you don't want to blow it up?
I think chicken.
Oh, that's right. Because
I don't even know.
Since our last episode,
I think chicken.
Since our last episode, we had 80-degree winds, and I don't know if we discussed that or not. We had 80
wait a minute.
Winds.
That happened on the 8th.
On the 8th, so that was right before the episode.
Yeah, that was Wednesday. Oh, so probably after you guys recorded.
Well, it was after we recorded on the 9th, and I think we talked about the winds, but since it was just me and Paul, neither me or Paul really had to deal with the power going out.
Oh,
you lost power in the house.
That was horrible.
And you were living the gypsy lifestyle for
we were living out of the library, hanging out there most of the day. It was cool though. I mean, really for what it was.
That library. I mean, since I moved last year, I don't go to that library as often as I would. But that was my when I didn't have Wi-Fi. That was the main spot that I would hang out at.
It's really nice there.
It's a really nice library, and there's different areas where you can hang out. And I like that because they have if you want, you could even rent a little conference room, and it looks like an office. It looks not an office, but I mean, if you wanted, okay, we're gonna have the meeting of the Rochester lacrosse high school team coaches or something like that.
Right.
You can rent a room and it's a legitimate place and has Wi-Fi and it's well lit and has nice big tables.
They
and
have
like
small ones and big ones.
Yeah, there's
like
big ones
You
and
can get
small.
the conference rooms. You can get like the meeting rooms have those dividable walls that you find in like the gymnasiums or whatever at a school where like they half off the gym and can do 2 classes or whatever. The meeting rooms actually divide into 3. So like you can actually either rent out like a huge room or a section or 2.
Yeah, it was
I mean,
a nice.
like, yeah, it is a nice joint. I mean, like they really hooked it up big time. And then they got the tween and teen room, which is where my kids, my 2 older ones, hang out.
Oh, that's
a
right.
lot.
Well, yeah, obviously, I'm not. I forget that. I mean, I don't hang out in that area because I'm not a teen or a tween. But yeah, the upstairs
Right.
area, the kids are playing like
Video
Wii,
games?
like the Wii.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the Wii or the Wii U. Where
They
they're
have a
playing.
Wii U and they have a PlayStation 4 and they're getting a Wii Nintendo Switch apparently. Like somebody has promised them a Switch, so that's gonna be coming soon. Yeah, right.
And it's a nice spot, and and I'm over here like I'll be doing my Wi-Fi thing or whatever, and then I go to use the bathroom and I'm walking by and I'm watching kids playing like Smash Brothers and stuff like that on a really nice big screen TV.
Yeah,
Well, it's safe.
Jesse's
It's safe
3DS.
to say that your kids, is the way my kid is. They're kids of today, where everything's electronical devices. So to go, to go like 2-3 days, 4 days without like electronical entertainment must have been
Right, but it's been good for us though too, because like what I started for us is that we go there now and we hang out like on a regular basis because they've met kids that also hang out there. And like what I'll do is I'll take Tony down to the kid area and we'll hang out there as long as he will allow it, because like really seriously after about 30 minutes that's about his limit.
yeah.
And then he's like, I want to go to the teen room, where the electronics are, of course, like any other kid. So I can kind of sneak them in there for a half hour and get away with it without pissing anybody off, because I mean, like really technically he's not supposed to be in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but also with me hanging out there though has been also very cool, because like one of the kids I grew up with in high school, like he always his mom worked in the library, so like he also wanted to be a librarian, and then that's what he did, and he is. I mean, like he still is. He's my age and working at the downtown one, right now and everything. But I saw the kid that is like him back when, you know what I mean, but now.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's like so cool, but like he's totally different. Because, like, this kid that I knew, Andrew, like, back then, like, he had long hair, but his hair was, like, straight or whatever like that, and it always kind of hung in his face or like that. This kid's the same, but it's all curly.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, just enough different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's definitely, like, very, like, the similarities were, like, crazy. Just in, like, personality and everything, but, yeah. Good kid. And it was really cool too because like Lou connected with him, and then he connects with my friend too.
So were you the like you couldn't have been the only people to have that idea? Were there like
what, going to the
were there,
library?
were there people?
It really honestly was not that like okay, the first day we went, we were told by a friend, somebody told us, they were like, if you need to charge up stuff or whatever like that, you should go to the public library. So like to me, like in my head, it was a charging station. So like we showed up there like 1:00 in the afternoon that day. Thursday? I think it was Thursday. And we got there and then we figured out exactly what was going on, which is basically like, I was saying the meeting room with the dividers and whatnot. They had it all open, and there was like, people had been bringing in donations of like food and drinks and whatever, and they had that all up in the front and everything like that. It was just pretty much like help yourself. And like they had a movie going and everything, and like card games going.
Because that's where the city, that's where the town hall is, right?
Well, next to it.
Yeah, so I mean, saying it's
Right.
it's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a center of the
Yeah.
town, of the neighborhood, or the town, or the
And I would say there was probably about 60 of us taking advantage of it, like as far as like people who were out of power and they're hanging out and whatnot, and it was, I mean, like, because everybody was pretty much in the same kind of mood. It was just kind of like, well, what the hell are you going to do, It's like we got hurricane winds and trees came down,
got electricity.
Yeah, and we're all here, and that was pretty much it right there. And then the next day, I would say, like, because we were there for most of the day, the following day. Like, we got there about, like, 10 a.m., and then we were there, I think I finally got the kids out of there, like, 5:30 or something like that, because I wanted to get home and start setting up before it got dark and everything. And I would say, like, at that point, probably at one point there might have been about 50 people, but for the most part, it was more like 20, 25 at a time, and
people
it just started
cycling out,
dwindling.
or
Yeah, you know, we got to know people because it was the same people coming back and everything, you know. And I mean, like that was the thing too. Like when we walking in there the second or the third day after we realized like what was going on and everything like that, we always walked in with a bag of stuff and you know what I mean, to throw into the whole kitty up front and all that.
now, if you forgive me for asking such a personal question, but where did you shower? Like,
Oh well,
or-
I had hot water, so like it was
Oh.
just really cold in the house, but the water was at least hot, you know.
oh, so we have gas.
Like
so
not
yeah, I
heat.
guess if you-
There was not heat in the house because apparently some of my furnace is electric.
Oh,
I have
okay.
no idea. I totally plan to find out what that's all about. 'Cause I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can start asking me about it, and I really have no idea. Like I think it starts it or keeps it going.
well,
or-
I think you need electricity just to at least get the pilot light going.
There's something, but I have to figure out like what can I do to not have that happen again. Because like if I can have heat, even without power or anything like that, you know, like having heat and having hot water, we
Okay,
can go for like weeks if we had to.
Well, as I mean, as long as you had hot water, you know, like, I mean, you know, and you know, if I have to be in my house with a jacket on, that's fine. You
Oh,
know,
I slept in a jacket. Oh yeah, the third night I was here, man. Because I mean, I didn't want to leave my house. You know, especially just like you know, it was blacked out and everything, and this whole area was like it went from my parents' house was the first house in this area, and it went all the way down. And the neighborhood behind me was out, you know, and over here was out, you know. So like it was like basically like part of the neighborhood was out, but right next door to my parents was the first house that did have power. So they ran an extension cord over to my parents' house. They ran two of them actually, and they also because they were all set and everything like that, they let them borrow one of the space heaters that they had, you know, and everything. So they were kind of set up a little bit and everything. But I didn't want to leave my house, especially the first two nights because the cop was gone. And I'm thinking like everything's all blacked out, cop car's not there. You know that's a little bit of a safety net for me even when power's on. You know? So. Yeah, so I definitely didn't want to leave. And then the third night, like, I had seen so many trucks all over the area and them, like, doing so much work and just really, I mean, like, and working in these brutal conditions because it was nasty out. It was like that freezing rain and the wind came back a little bit and it was just really bad out. And they were so bound and determined to just, like, get everybody on and everything. Like, that was the mood, too. I mean, like, it was. I mean, like, you know, like, there was all kinds of businesses donating food to the power guys and all that.
And you said the guys working on your block were, like, from Canada, right?
Excuse me, I don't know about Canada. There was people around here from Canada.
Oh, okay.
But not in my particular neighborhood.
Oh,
my particular neighborhood, their logo was like a peach.
Georgia?
No, I know. No,
Okay.
no, it wasn't Georgia. I know,
okay.
I know it was the United States, but I can't remember.
Oh, okay,
what it was.
'cause
their logos were a peach.
Because I know
there
people
was
from
a
New
lot
York
of
City.
Canadian trucks too around the area.
Oh, okay.
And that's
right.
probably what you're thinking about. Because like I was telling you about, like with my neighborhood and everything like that, and especially being in Irondequoit, they were parking a lot of the trucks over at Irondequoit Mall.
Yeah.
So like driving around, like you'd be going to Wegmans or something like that, and you would see like a Canadian truck.
Okay, and in all fairness, I mean, because there were trucks from New York City.
Yeah.
New York City is 6 hours away.
Right, Pennsylvania.
You know, if there were trucks from Canada, Canada's an hour away. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
it makes more sense for there to be Canadian trucks here than New York City trucks.
Plus, they're more used to dealing with this shit than we are, if
Yeah.
you think about it,
Yeah,
because they get it way worse than we do. Like, for as bad as we get it here, they get it, like, at least a third worse.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, they're totally... Honestly, my thoughts about the whole power outage thing, RG&E definitely was not well set up.
Yeah, and there's a
know?
whole governor,
Right.
a whole governor.
I don't think they could
He's looking into
anticipate it, but I don't think they were set up the way they should have been. They should have had some extra crew here already, not as much as what they brought in, but they should have had some guys put up in a hotel ready to go out as soon as the shit started hitting the fan. Because, like, you know, Scott Hetchko was out there freaking dancing, saying, like, the winds are coming, you know? I mean, like, for how many days?
Yeah, we knew it was coming. We should have been better.
We were all
prepared.
stocked up. Everybody, I mean, like, I was pretty much ready for a power outage if it happened, you know, and it did. I didn't expect it to go 4 days, though. I was not set up for 4 days. I mean, like, I thought, like, I would lose power for, like, maybe a day or two. I mean, because especially, too, like, I lived through the windstorm here, or the ice storm here. You probably have heard about the big, infamous, you know, ice storm
Was
from
it
back in the
89 or
90s.
something? Oh,
it was
okay.
like, yeah, it was like early 90s. And in this area here, we lost power for a day and a half. That was it.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And then we had like the big, you know, like power outage that happened, like, you know, for a big portion of the nation. But like even that one was like, you know, overnight.
Yeah.
You know? So like when I set up, I was just like, yeah, like, you know, like a couple days. Gotta worry about a couple days and everything like that. I never thought like it was gonna go into like, you know, being like 3-4 days. Like I was a little bit on my gourd just at that point.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then Paul commented. Paul says, "I don't."
what's up? I forgot about comments.
Paul says, "I don't love him anymore." No, Paul, I still love you. Don't. I didn't love you. You know, I feel bad when I'm cheating on Paul.
Aww.
But now we had started this conversation because you said you had gotten some. But you got the bad chicken after. This was chicken that you just bought, right?
Yeah.
After the.
Well, I was pretty smart about the fact that when I woke up on Thursday morning, which was basically the first morning, you know, after the first full night of the power outage. The power outage happened in the afternoon. Woke up that following morning, and the first thing I thought about was, you know what, I should really get everything out of my fridge, which is like, you know, worth anything, and get it in a cooler and try to like salvage it, because like, you know, another like 12 hours or so and I'm not going to be able to really, you know?
Gotcha.
So I took everything out, like the meat and everything, and stuck it in my cooler. And then I went and got a bag of ice, and I stuck that cooler out in the backyard, you know? And it was fine. And then when the power came back on and I was restocking everything and all that, there was some food that had like defrosted, but not completely. But like if I put it back in the freezer, it would make me sick, you know, or make anyone sick. You had to cook it up at that point. You can't really, you know, like refreeze it.
Yeah.
You know? And then like there was a lot of stuff that stayed frozen, and that's, you know, still in my freezer. So one of them was chicken, and I cooked up that chicken, ate that chicken, everything was fine. Come a few days later, go to the store, get new chicken.
It was new chicken, so it wasn't like like you ate chicken that was from the blackout that was sitting there slowly getting hot. This was new chicken.
And what's even crazier about it is that, like, it was the second day. Like, I had made all this on Sunday, and then, like, I wasn't supposed to use it again actually until Tuesday. But then something happened, and I ended up, like, revamping the dinner plan and, like, flip-flopping Monday with, you know, Tuesday or whatever. And so I ate more chicken on Monday, which was fine. But then, yeah, come Tuesday morning, sicker than a dog. So I don't know, but yeah, that's that story.
Gotcha.
Good
gotcha.
times.
So that was from the day we recorded the day after the blackout, but
right.
You know, unfortunately, me and Paul, our first world problems, like it didn't affect us, so we didn't talk about it that much.
And then we had a snowstorm.
Yeah, we had the snowstorm, which
was really bad, and then all the snow's pretty much gone now.
And it was one of those deals where, like, my job during the snowstorm, like, it started like on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, or I think it started Monday.
No,
and, was it Monday?
No, it started on like either Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, so Tuesday. What happened was Tuesday.
The kids did not have school on Wednesday and Thursday of that week.
Okay. Well, yeah. I just because I go to work Tuesday. Oh, I'm sorry. That's what it was. I go to work Tuesday, and where my job is located, a lot of people I work with live way more south. Like they drive north 40 minutes to get to where I work. Okay. A lot of so very few people where I work actually live in Rochester. Oddly enough, so they come up. So I got to work at noon. I was scheduled to work till 9, and they just said, "Look, at 4:00 we're closing the doors." 4:00, everybody go home because you got to get home before the snow comes in. And then, so that had happened. And then, they said, okay, everybody, here's a number you got to call if you want to, So what happened was, so Wednesday, I called the number, at 8:00 in the morning or whatever. And they're like, you could still come in if you want, but you don't have to. And you're not going to get a penalty for it.
Right.
And I was like, well, fuck that. And I'm going to stay home. You know what I'm saying? I'll work my hour, I'll make up my hours some other time. So I kept my dumb ass at home, and then and the big thing is, not for nothing, when I watched when you watch the news, they kept saying, and I watched the news, every hour I would kind of just, they have the updates or whatever, and they were saying it was like an advisory, it was like a travel ban. There was not a travel ban, but there's like
state of emergency.
Yeah, state of emergency unless you're an emergency vehicle.
No,
stay off the road. Yeah. So
or only emergency travel.
Yeah, so I'm like, well, I'm not going to take my dumb ass to my non-essential job because I mean, let's be real here. I mean, not that I'm super in love with my job, but I like my job, but I'm not going to fucking spin out in the fucking highway and get fucking hit by 18-wheeler just to go to work if I don't have to.
Right.
So I kept my dumb ass at home. And I think I took a picture of it the next day. Like I tried to dig out my car, and it was like literally like 18 inches of snow on top of my car. And you know what? It was nice to stay home and do nothing. You know, man, I checked in with my daughter, and you know, she didn't go to school, and her mom, and I was like, if my daughter's all right, and I don't have to go to work, it was sweet. I kept my dumb ass at home. And, you know, I'd probably playing video games or something like that. And so, you know, I'm glad that, you know, I mean, I think to the best of my knowledge, nobody got hurt, nobody died, nobody. Because usually you get a little snow, and there's always like some 70-year-old guy shoveling his walkway has a heart attack, or you know, like I think of course I think there were some car accidents on the highway, but I don't think there was like there was no like bus full of nuns crashes and killed.
Right.
You know, I don't think there was any major deaths or tragedies in Rochester due to that crazy snow. So, all right. So let's kind of talk about some new news.
Okay.
Well, I don't. You don't care for wrestling, right? And I guess like your kids aren't into wrestling, so you don't. Is it?
Well, I don't have it on a lot. Mm-hmm. Like I used to be into it back in the day.
Yeah, I used to love
like
it.
Actually, admittedly, like like how everybody the girls like I don't know what the big thing is really for the girls back in my day for like back in like the early teen years or whatever, like the heartthrobs or whatever like that. Mm-hmm. But like how like girls.
What about like Shawn Michaels? Or...
No, but I was really into Bret Hart.
Oh, okay.
Like Bret Hart was my guy. Like I had like the freaking like the
that.
cutouts and the, oh yeah. Like my friends they bust on me all the time about it. Like my old friends, mm-hmm. like they have known me from back then and all that. Yeah, absolutely. Because like I had like this little collage. Absolutely, yeah.
Ripped out of like. Well,
yeah.
I don't know. Was he in like? Well, I mean,
there was a bunch of wrestling magazines back then.
Oh no, but I'm like, because you know what is like. I was thinking like he wouldn't be like in Teen Beat or.
Oh no, no! I was cutting this shit
out of wrestling magazines. Okay,
yes,
gotcha.
Yes. Pretty much my girlfriend Sonia, like there was Eddie and Todd, and they were always buying them and everything, and they would read them, and then they would just
So I mean, if you're talking Bret the Hitman Hart, you're talking like 80s then, because I mean, he kind of had a career in the early 90s.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm talking like pre-teen and early teen, like that stage,
Are you
like probably right about where my daughter's at and a little older?
I want to say it's Toronto, but have you heard of? Or I think they call it. Sometimes some people call it the Canadian screw job with Bret Hart. Well, no, the joke, and it sounds a lot worse than what it is. It was where Bret the Hitman Hart was supposed to. He was wrestling his last match with WWE, and I want to know. I believe some people call it the Toronto screw job, but it could be the Canadian screw job or whatever. And I could be wrong if I have wrestling fans out there, don't cut my head off. Where he was supposed to win his match, and it was supposed to be his last match with Vince McMahon's. And
there was like a whole big controversy.
And Shawn Michaels, he was wrestling Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels won the match.
It was kind of very Jesus-y. Have you seen that? Like he was in a Jesus movie and all that.
Oh yeah. Oh, he got.
Yeah, I was very stunned.
Yeah, all these guys who go and screw everything every which way but loose, and then they hit a point where you don't get the satisfaction from banging 30 women a night, where you turn to Jesus because you realize that you lived like all these rock stars and stuff like that kind of have that moment where they've lived such a life of excess that all of a sudden they're like, oh, life is empty.
Yeah. I was just very surprised to see that because again, like I don't really watch it very often now. Mm-hmm. I watched it back then, mm-hmm. and then there was a little period of time where I had some friends coming over on a regular basis and they were putting it on. Mm-hmm. So like I caught a lot of it then and everything like that, and that's where like I learned about like John Cena and all that, and so like I saw the engagement obviously just like the rest of the world.
Yeah, well, and that to me, because they have a show on E. They have.
Well, that's probably why they did it.
The Bella Twins, the two sisters.
There's two shows. There's like the Total Divas one, which follows the girls, like all of them.
All the divas, yeah.
And then there's the one that they did just them, which is like I think it's called like Total Bellas or something like that. Total Bella,
yeah. And I don't. And that's the whole thing is like I've fallen so out of wrestling, and and I used to love it. I would say I haven't watched wrestling since like the mid 2000s, and that was like and of course that was like the Attitude Era, and Stone Cold Steve Austin and Undertaker and The Rock and Triple H.
Now see, I watched before that, so like I watched during like the Macho Man era, but not during like the Animal or anything like that. Like later on, mm-hmm. He was already pretty established with Miss Elizabeth at that point. Like I watched the engagement happen and the wedding and all that. I'm trying to think what else. like, you know, who else was really popular back then? That I mean, like even with
Well,
the WrestleMania.
I mean, do you remember
like
when?
that,
Do you remember when WWE, or at the time I think it was still called WWF? They had they had a restaurant in Times Square.
Yes, I do.
And that's like that was like to me that was the peak, and that was around 2000 or even like I want to say 2001.
Yeah, this would definitely be before that.
And like what happened was it was called WWF New York, and during like on Mondays and Thursdays you could go in and watch wrestling, and they had TVs all over the place, and it was like wrestling themed or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you know you could have you can go and enjoy yourself. And then the funny thing, then during the week, okay, so it was WWF New York, and it was like you could go on during Mondays and Thursdays to watch wrestling. On the Sunday nights when they had a pay-per-view, it was $50 a head just to get in. Okay. But you got in, which is what you would be spending for the pay-per-view anyway at home if you're watching it by yourself. But you're getting a meal and you're getting a drink with it. You know, I mean, of course, if you wanted more, you can. But I mean, when I say a meal, I mean you get like spare ribs and potatoes and veggies.
You're not just getting like sliders and mac and cheese bites.
Yeah, exactly.
Like my high school reunion that's coming up. Dude, my high school reunion, right? 20-year high school reunion. Mm-hmm. They're asking these people to pay $65 a ticket. Mm-hmm. And what they're doing is they're slapping on 3 hours of open bar and feeding these people sliders and mac and cheese bites. I shit you not. Yeah, I'm not going. Anyhow, so go back.
So WrestleMania. I mean, so if you went the nights that there was like a pay-per-view, like I said, it was $50 just to get in, but you got a meal and you got a drink, and of course, if you want anything extra, you would have to pay out of pocket. And then on Fridays and Saturday nights, they turned it into a club. So they somehow got all the tables out of the area, and it was weird because there was a section that kind of imagine a square and then like a bigger square and a bigger square like going in. I'm trying to.
You're saying like as far as like how the setup is, like basically the middle and then
there's the middle, then there's another level and another level. So they would open that up as like a dance club, and they got all the tables out and people can dance. And I mean, it was bars. It's not like you could just fall right off the edge. You have to walk down to the stairs to get around. But so on Saturdays and Sundays, it was Saturday, and they called that the World. Like the World Wrestling Federation. Okay. So it was the World Club. During Mondays and Thursdays were wrestling events, and then just in general, there was a top level, the street level, but the street level was just like a big store. So you could buy merchandise and stuff like that. Bobbleheads and wrestling belts and T-shirts and stuff like that. And I used to go there, and that was the era, and that was like the storyline at that time was like. It was when ECW went out of business, and ECW was always like WWE's competition. Mm-hmm. But then WWE like bought all the licensing rights. So sort of like they said they bought them, but they just bought the licensing rights.
They were a merger of equals.
Yeah, it was like a merger, and then there was then WCW went out of business, so they bought WCW, and it was that era. That was around the time where I was so into wrestling because then they would have and what's going to happen when Taz fights The Rock, like Taz is like ECW's like one of their top guys, and then, The Rock or something, and actually I don't even know if Taz.
See, I was before The Rock. The Rock, but I do dig The Rock as an actor.
Yeah, I mean, I used to love it so much, and it just got to the point where, I don't know, it's like I don't care anymore. It's so weird to see that something you once loved, and I would say, and I still kind of watch right around the time. I kind of remember the very beginning of John Cena. I remember when he came in and he used to actually rap and stuff like that, and that was sort of his gimmick. Like he was the white boy rapper, and he would wear. I would
have to Google this shit. Really?
Oh yeah, that was his thing. He used to come in before each match and have rap. Insulting the guy that he was about to wrestle.
Oh, it's wonderful.
He used to wear Reebok pumps.
Okay.
And part of his move was he would throw the guy around, stop, pump his Reebok pumps, and then do an elbow drop or whatever. That was part of his gimmick. Because he was the white rapper. Sort of playing off Eminem a little bit, but not really, just sort of
glorious.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have to totally. I'm Googling that.
And he had his phrase, the thugonomics. That was his thugonomics. That was his thing, and that was around the time. It was a little after that I stopped watching wrestling. And John Cena had become the new, top dog because. you know, you'd say like at one point it was like, you know,
I'm glad I learned about the guy when I did, because when I learned about the guy, I was like, this guy's a genius, because he is. I mean, like, really seriously, the way that he's handled like his financials and all of his business and stuff like that, and the way that he conducts himself and his persona, and
he's very, he's very like he's for the troops, and
yeah, exactly. Like, I'm glad I got to know about him at that point, because I think if I
if you knew Thugonomics,
oh my god, there's no way.
Yeah, that was
I would ever consider taking that dude. And part of it too was because of The Rock, because The Rock freaking broke out, and like The Rock's actually a pretty good dude too, as far as like what he's doing and how.
And he's like in a million.
He's coming with his career.
He's in a million movies this year. I mean, he's got the Fast and Furious, the Fate of the Furious. Excuse me. He's got they finished filming, like they're doing the Jumanji reboot. He's doing Baywatch.
Why are they doing a Jumanji reboot? Like, it just does not make any sense to me.
I mean, I think that one is purely just because of name recognition. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's take a property that people kind of remember.
But is it going to be this same thing, or is it going to be like, okay, we're in like another era?
I think it's a reboot. I don't think it's going to have, other than the name, I think it's going to have no connection to the Robin Williams.
Well, then that makes sense a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's him and Kevin Hart.
Right.
So I think they're kind of, they're trying to make it. I mean, of course, that was always kind of an action comedy anyway. But I think they want to make it more action comedy. I don't know. But I mean, I was just saying, The Rock, and that's just right off the top of my head. I know he's probably in some more movies this year. Now that I think about it.
Right.
But and then, well, yeah, the one he did with Kevin Hart earlier, the Central Intelligence. So, and he's like, what, people's most sexiest man alive or something like that. And,
did he get it?
I'm 99%. If it's not this year, it was last year.
Attention, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, I haven't watched wrestling, and the big things that happened this year. You mentioned the proposal.
Yeah, I saw that. That's like the only thing I did see.
So they had that guy Gronkowski from the football player from the Patriots. Okay. And he's like known to be like a party animal, party guy, like in his personal life. Huh. So there was a match earlier, early in the night, where I guess one of the wrestlers who is like his legitimate friend in real life. I mean, it was fake, but that Gronkowski jumped from, like, he's sitting there watching the WrestleMania, and he jumps out of his chair, jumps over the fence, jumps over the barrier, and jumps in the ring to help his friend. And they get obviously staged, because if that was real, they would have 50. Yeah, I don't care what kind of superstar you are. 50 bodyguards would have been up his ass, holding him back or whatever. And and the joke is not the joke, but like he's not playing football right now because he's injured. Oh, but you got fucking energy to go jump and fucking play fake wrestling. I mean, I know it was only 2 seconds, and really people can't get hurt. I mean, people can get hurt, but I mean, if done right or whatever. But it's funny, like you're risking your professional career. But the guy's known to be like a bonehead, kind of a party animal kind of dude. So he jumps in the ring. The Hardy Boys return. Do you know
I remember the Hardy Boys?
Yeah. So they both went to like different.
How old are they now? I mean, they gotta be in their 60s, right?
No, I think you're confusing them with somebody else. No, the Hardy Boys. I am
confusing. You know who I was thinking about? The Nasty Boys.
Nasty Boys.
Those guys are definitely.
But
I do remember the Hardy Boys though. They were younger.
Yeah,
they were just starting out. Like when I remember that they used to be like one of those teams that used to come in that would be like the ones that were automatically set up to lose, where like they would have like those matches on Saturday morning or whatever. Like here comes Mr. Nobody to wrestle the superstar. Well, no. Gee, I wonder who's gonna win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, here's superstar versus
Remember that?
Well, yeah, they call the industry term is the jobbers. The guys who.
I remember them when they were back at that point, and then they started to move up. Well, because that's usually what happened.
Their thing was they were like the acrobatic guys. They were the guys who would jump off the top rope, or they were big on the ladder matches where you climb the ladder and jump, or they'll jump off the ladder that's on top of the ring onto the floor. So you're talking about 20 feet in the air. And they've done a lot of crazy stuff, and so they both kind of went their separate ways for years. And the funny thing is, they kind of went and developed their new. They changed their personalities. where like Matt Hardy, who's the older brother. He's turned his persona into like some sort of weird like evangelist kind of a character, who's like crazy or whatever. And then Matt was sort of when he was wrestling at another promotion, he was known as like the Enigma, and he'd paint his face all crazy or whatever. He doesn't really do that persona anymore, but they both reinvented themselves separately at separate promotions also. But then the funny thing is now they were one of the surprises at WrestleMania. They came out back together. Oddly enough, with their new personas, like they came back as the Hardy Boys, but like what they've evolved into.
So they're a reboot.
Yeah, so I'm surprised. Like I'm just saying, Vince McMahon is such a control freak. I'm surprised he let them keep their personas from what they developed in other promotions, to then come back. Like, you think, okay, you could come back, but you got to, lose the act. Go back to where you were the last...
so they brought in acts from other agencies?
Well, I'm just saying, like the one guy turned, like Matt Hardy turned into like this weird, like, evangelical character. Like, he's talking like... So, he's keeping that character back at WWE, even though he developed it somewhere else.
See, I thought you were saying like they came back as that, but different. But no.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess they're at a point where they could tell Vince McMahon, it's this or nothing, and I guess, and also, I mean, hey, Vince is like, okay, you went and built up a persona somewhere else, then maybe that'll bring in those viewers back to WWE. So the Hardys return, that was a big thing. And then Cena proposed. And then this was allegedly the last Undertaker match. Undertaker finally retires.
Undertaker was wrestling when I used to watch it.
This is, if I'm not mistaken, and my numbers come wrong, this is like his 33rd WrestleMania. He's been wrestling since 88 or something. Like 88 or 89 was his first. And he fought like Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's so funny that he comes out.
watching that.
I mean, and now, in this part of his career, he would only come out for WrestleMania. Like, you generally don't see him during the year. He's so old and he's so beat up. And he deserves the accolades that he has, but I mean, I think he could only come out for one match a year. Anything else would probably kill the old guy. So he lost the match. And in traditional wrestling fashion, you always lose your last match. You never win your last match, which is kind of weird. Like, I would thought, not that Bret the Hitman Hart was supposed to leave wrestling altogether.
Yeah.
But when he got screwed by Vince McMahon, generally the wrestling tradition is you always lose your last match. Because if there's ever a chance for you to return, like one day, 20 years from now, whatever, 10 years from now, he gets the gumption to come back in the ring, he can come back and be victorious.
Right.
So he retired, and then what happens is he loses the match. And he lost the match to this guy named Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns is The Rock's cousin in real life. Ooh. And he's the new, like, one of the flavors of the month that they're pushing now, which the joke is nobody likes him. Okay. But the Undertaker lost to him. And and the Undertaker, of like the 33 years that he's been at WrestleMania, he's only lost 2 matches. And this is his second match. And like as he's walking up the ring, there's like a big explosion and he disappears. And then like all that's left are like his boots, his jacket, and his hat. Very theatrical or whatever. Yeah. Like the dead man is gone. Right. So I mean, I love the Undertaker. I don't think this is the last time we've seen him. He's probably going to take 5-6 years off and kind of just whatever. But, it's a send-off, but I'm not like all teary. As much as I love the Undertaker, Undertaker was my guy. But, I'm not like, oh, we're never going to see him again. We're going to see him again. You don't have a career of 33 years to then turn your back and disappear and right off in the sunset. Hopefully he stays healthy and everything like that. But, unless he gets hit by a truck or something, he's going to come back.
Shit, my dad worked at Xerox for 40 years and he still goes back for breakfast once a month.
You can't teach an old dog new tricks, man.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they'll probably, you never know, interview something, work him in somehow for some kind, just because he's not wrestling anymore.
Yeah, I mean, they'll
they find a way. Like usually,
he's gonna sit at home and go crazy because he has nothing else better to do, and he misses 50,000 people screaming his name. He'll come back, and I think we should take a break.
Yeah, probably.
All right? And we'll be back with more Dick and Fart jokes.
This episode of Two Strangers, One Podcast is brought to you by Comics Etc., 1115 East Main and North Goodman at the Hungerford Building, door number 8. Find out more information at comicsetc.biz or like them on Facebook at facebook.com/comicsetc1.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds?
Necrophilia!
It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, Prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
doll popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was.
How
going to be
could
a
you
rough
watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Click and Hit, enhancing the experience for all recreational smokers. Click and Hit is a one-handed portable vaporizer. This smoking pipe has a compact 4-stage design, complete with a built-in, windproof, butane refillable torch lighter. The large burn chamber holds your stash of legal herb or pipe tobacco. Click the button to ignite and inhale as usual. When you are done, put it back in your pocket for later. Smoke anytime with the touch of a button. No more carrying around grinders and tins. You can leave the pipe, rolling papers, and even your lighter at home. The Click and Hit cordless vaporizer is no bigger than a normal cigar, making it the world's smallest and most discreet vaporizer. It's perfect for use in small places or shared rooms. It's efficient, getting 5 to 8 draws from your packed chamber. It's affordable at just $19.95 each. Buy 3 and the shipping is free. Buy 4 and you get the 5th one free. Visit www.click-n-hit.com. That's clickandhit.com. And now for listeners of Two Strangers, One Podcast, you can use promo code STRANGERS and receive 10% off your purchase at clickandhit.com. That's promo code STRANGERS for 10% off your purchase.
And we're back. And for those watching live at home, I had just said we're going to skip all the Trump stuff.
Are we still? I thought we lost the live feed.
No, according to this, we're 47 minutes in, but it took us about 7 or 8 minutes, or some. It took us a couple minutes to actually get the episode started. So, in light of my gracious host, we'll skip all the Trump stuff this week. And trust me, I have a lot of Trump stuff, but we'll skip that for now.
Just check out your Facebook, and they will see it all.
So here's something that I kind of wanted to talk about our last episode, but it's obviously been a trend in the past five or so years, and it's something that you're into. NASCAR has actually been losing, and they've talked about this on the radio, and I've seen a couple of articles about it online.
I can start giving you a whole lot of reasons why NASCAR is starting to dwindle.
So they're saying that NASCAR, who, like, if you want to, like, I would say, you know, a couple of years ago, like even like when Disney made Cars, and even when like
which they have another one coming out, you know.
Yeah, it looks
really good, actually.
You know, when they did Talladega Nights, there was a real push for NASCAR to become more mainstream. You know, even someone, like I said, I would had before what's his face made that movie out. You said Talladega, I would have said, what the fuck is Talladega? You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't grow up with any kind of. I mean, I knew of NASCAR. I kind of, you know, hate to be stereotypical. Oh, it's for rednecks and shit like that. You know.
Yeah, it's not.
But I'm just saying, it's
definitely not.
I mean, you know, but
I wasn't a redneck growing up, and I grew up on it.
Well, that's what I mean. Where I grew up and in the world that I grew up in, you know, NASCAR wasn't a thing. But, I mean, a couple of years ago, there was a real big push for NASCAR to become more mainstream, which it has. I mean, it has become a lot more mainstream, and I understand that, the big money that's put into the tracks, and and I remember watching HBO always has like those really good documentaries.
Mm-hmm. The Jimmy Johnson one you talking about?
I think it was a Jimmy Johnson. It was like a whole series
where it was all about him getting ready for yep,
and it was like
excellent,
and it was him and his family, and
excellent production put together
from an ignorant outsider, and I'll say that all wholeheartedly. From an ignorant outsider, it's a redneck getting in a car and driving to making a left 100 times. Then I watched that HBO series, and it's like, this guy's getting up at 5 o'clock in the fucking morning, doing or whatever, exercise regimen just to stay in shape. Then, at like 8 o'clock in the morning, going into business meetings with his sponsors, and then at 10 o'clock to have like a meeting with all the guys and his crew and stuff like that, getting the cars together, and then doing this and doing that. And it was sort of like, holy shit, if it wasn't for that series, I wouldn't have realized what an industry it was. Once again, I totally admit my ignorance.
Yeah.
But this big money thing, but what they're saying is in the past 5 years, NASCAR is from like its height is actually almost like half what it was.
I believe that. Absolutely. Because like when at the height of it, you're saying the height of it was just a few years ago, and it absolutely wasn't. Actually, the height of it was about like the 2000, I would say right after Dale Sr.'s passing and going forward for probably about the next about 5-6 years. That was about the peak. And I think that had something to do with it right there, Dale Earnhardt passing.
Yeah, because even me, as ignorant as I am, I knew who Dale Earnhardt was. I knew the Intimidator.
And then especially too, in my family, it was a huge, it was almost like we actually lost a family member. Like, we had family members that we don't talk to every day calling us up, all like, are you guys okay over there? Checking in on us and everything, seriously, it was absolutely devastating when that happened. And, God, it's been like probably about like 16, 17 years. It's had to have been at least that. It's been a long time now. And, so like after that, even you saw the difference even just going to Watkins Glen, because we used to be a family that used to go to Watkins Glen every year, and we planned like a whole big trip around it and everything. We'd be down in that area for like 4 or 5 days and everything, and hanging out at the track a lot and everything. And what started to happen was like the crowd just got bigger and bigger, and like now they've just, it got to a point that like we don't even enjoy going, because like even at Watkins Glen, like there used to be probably I want to say back when we used to go, it was only like 60,000 seats or something like that, and now it's up to like 175,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
they
so
can fit around that
they
track.
doubled the seats.
And then that's the whole thing too. Like the grandstand that we used to sit at, you used to be able to see them coming from the the checker line, coming down the straightaway into turn 1, which turn 1 is a 90-degree angle. Go straight through there, turn 2, make that turn, and then go up the hill, and we would lose them just before turn 3, which for Watkins Glen, that's a 2.5 mile track. That's a road course, so it's not like a track where you're going to sit in one section and see the whole thing. It's impossible. The only way you're going to see the whole thing is if you're above, or watching it on TV. So, and which I've come to find that I seem to enjoy watching it on TV more. So yeah, no, actually not 2009. Now that I think about it, I'm trying to, like, when I worked the pits that one year, that was 2009, and it was really crowded, and it was, it started to dwindle off probably, like you said, about the last 5 years, 6 years, about there. And a lot of it has to do with the old school people. My father used to be able, back in the day, he used to be able to sneak into the hot pits and hang out for the whole entire race and this, that. And that's because, there really wasn't that many spectators going or anything like that, And then, you just got this whole influx of people. The whole area just got kind of, overbuilt. The motel that we used to stay at got torn down. They built a Walgreens where it's at, and they ended up building, a Best Western or something like that, down the street, and that's why they tore it, plus also, it was a little run down and everything like that too, but it had its charm, that small town. It was in Penn Yan. That's where we would go stay, and we would rent a block of rooms, and we would all pretty much just hang out or whatever, go to this little tavern that was down the street. It was a good time. And, but yeah, no, really, a lot of it had to do with that. A lot of it had to do, too, with them fucking with the rules. They keep fucking with the rules over and over and over again. And you can't even, I can't even keep up right now. Now they've all of a sudden, instilled this whole new thing, to try and make it more exciting now with periods, right? They've added periods. Last year, the whole thing was overtime. Man, oh man. Oh, let me tell you, Jeff Gordon practically got a boner every time he'd be like, we're going into overtime! It's who cares? cares? It's like all that is the same thing as like what would happen in the past, which is somebody had a caution come out on like the second to last lap or last lap, and or not even the last lap, I'm sorry, like really like the third to last lap, second to last lap, fourth to last lap, something that's very close to the last lap, but enough where they would have to go ahead and restart, like work through the caution and then restart the race, not just call the race.
Oh, okay.
And then they decided instead of, like just calling it life, they decided to like term it overtime.
Oh.
Yeah. Like that's my whole thing. Like do you see, like you're grunting right there. And I mean, like, do you see what I'm saying? Like as a fan too, you're almost insulted. You're like, let's just do it the way it's always been. Like
he won or she won.
It was, I really don't understand, like for some reason, somewhere along the lines, and it really did, it started like pretty much like, because back when I was doing my fantasy one, like it was all still pretty standard. It wasn't like all broken up or anything like that. And then they started going into like just all like trying to change all the points, system and everything, changing the rules. I mean, like some of them I agree with, like do make it safer. Like they don't let them really race anymore on a caution. They kind of got to slow right down at this point.
Okay.
Where like before it used to be like you could kind of finish out the lap. Like even if a caution came out, like say somebody blew a tire on turn 4 and the caution came out, but you were still on turn 2, you could still kind of race for position going into, as long as you didn't get to the line. Yeah. Now they're like, okay, as soon as the caution comes out, you got to slow down. Oh. That makes sense. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it does. So like not all of it's bad, but it is them messing around with it and just everything, over commercializing.
Does it have to do? And not to cut you off, but that was it Tony Stewart that accidentally killed that guy?
Yeah, but that had nothing to do with even like monster, and that's the thing too. That's not even like the popular stuff.
Oh, okay.
That's like a totally. See, Tony Stewart's a totally different type of racer than most of these guys driving for the and I keep wanting to say Sprint Cup Series, but it's actually now the Monster Energy Series. Yes. Well, yeah, great.
Corporate sponsor series.
And Monster took it. So, basically, he was always but he drove for Sprint, so we'll just stick with that too, because that's what rolls off my tongue easier. Mm-hmm. And but he's always been like kind of like I'm a big time driver, but I also like to drive small time.
Yeah, because that was a small time race.
And it was a small time race, yes, and especially too, he loves dirt track racing. That's why he's retired. Mm-hmm. He's not really retired. He's racing. He's racing right now. He actually just won a race, like I think this past weekend. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like he's still racing. He's just not racing the big time cars or anything like that. He's doing the owner thing, which I mean, like even him being an owner, like that's why I got behind him. Like when I was kind of displaced after the whole like Dale Senior thing and all that, I didn't want to just jump on the Junior bandwagon because everybody else was jumping on the Junior bandwagon. And I mean, like Junior's cool and everything. I do dig him, he's good. But I mean, I don't know. Just I came to come to Stewart a little bit because of the fact too that like I really liked a lot of what he did behind the scenes with the business, and with me right there, the business stuff, and all that. Because like he got involved with this old lady, and they both went in together with the money, and they bought a car, and they started up the whole thing, and you know what I mean. And now it's what it's become, which is like he's got 4 drivers, he's got a shit ton of cars and all that. I mean, like it's built up into an enterprise,
Gotcha.
And it's been really cool to watch that whole thing happen. Excuse me. So yeah, and that whole thing about Tony Stewart and that kid and everything like that, I will tell you too, it boils down to that stupid kid should have not gotten out of that car, and that's why that kid's dead.
I mean, yeah, because for people who don't, I mean, I guess, and forgive my ignorance on the situation, the kid had some car trouble, and I guess him and Tony Stewart were kind of beefing
on the track a little bit, like drivers do, and they do that.
And so his car was having trouble. He
got out of. There's a phrase actually, rubbing is racing, quote unquote. And a lot of old time drivers, they don't really do it so much in the professional league as much. Like they do it, but when you get into these little guys they still kind of stay more old school, and old school is rubbing is racing.
Oh, rubbing is, yeah. And so so he got so his car had issues. He got out of his car, which they advise everyone not to do. And now here's where
this opinion track too. So I gotta tell you right now, this track that they're talking about as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, like seriously, it's not well lit at all. It's really not. And then you're talking about them. I mean, like they got equipment and everything. I mean, like their view is very limited. Like you gotta think that even with like the professional drivers and everything like that too, they have like the devices and all that. Their views like this. I mean, like it's very blocked, kind of boxed in. You can't really see like how we can see kind of like a nice little around in a way. Mm-hmm. Like they got a lot of that cut off on the sides. So
no, but there would be some people, and allow me to get controversial here for a second.
Yeah, trust me, I've watched it.
There are some people who would say Tony Stewart's a bit of a hothead. He
Yes.
gunned his engine. This is what some people would say. They would say he gunned his engine to be intimidating. And pardon, I didn't mean to use that word on purpose. But to intimidate the kid, he revved his engine. Unfortunately, things happened way out of. No way did he intend on hitting the kid. He was trying to scare him, for the lack of a better term,
Right.
accidentally hitting him and killing the kid.
And whenever I hear that whole thing, this is what I say about that one, okay? Only Tony Stewart knows the truth on that one. And only Tony Stewart's got to live with that one because of the fact that he knows what really happened there. He's on the record saying, and I want to believe him, that he didn't realize the kid was there. I honestly, too, like, I've watched the video and I've heard the rev, the controversial rev, you know? You can't really even tell if it was really his car, if it was somebody else's car around him. Like, there was all kinds of just audio. I mean, like,
you can't single out a single rev out
That's
of
what I was about to say. Like,
30 cars on the road.
The only way you can is if they're falling that behind, that they're not with the pack. Like, when the pack comes by, it's just, I mean, like, they all blend in together, you know? And then you got, if there's somebody trailing, then you can hear their single car or whatever. You can't really tell where the rev came from.
Gotcha.
Maybe he was trying to scare him. That's quite a possibility. And that's where I say only he knows that. And he's got to live with that. And I'll tell you what, too. Even afterwards, too, he went through a really big battle of depression. And he wasn't very, like, quiet about it. Like, he was, you know, like, he was still on Facebook a little bit. Like, you know, because, like, I follow him on Facebook and everything like that. And he would talk about, like, you know, like, sometimes he would just say, like, you know, like, yeah, you know, like, I'm still on break, still in treatment. You know, like, you know, things are good. You know, kind of just give a quick little thumbs up.
Yeah,
type
because I mean, even
whatever.
if it was 1,000% an accident,
You're gonna have
accidentally
some shit to deal
accidentally
with on
taking
that.
someone's life. Unless you're, you know, even a cold-hearted fuck like me, like, you know, if I accidentally took someone's life, I would be,
Yeah.
even if it was totally not your accident, even if it was not your fault at all, you know, it just takes a toll on you.
Right, and also in context as well, the kid who got killed is also known for being a hothead as well.
Oh yeah, and
Yes.
they found marijuana in his system.
Yeah, but I don't think that's
not enough.
really,
Yeah, not enough to.
They had nothing to prove that he had smoked just before the race or anything like that. They basically just could show that he had smoked at some point. Like he had
You
enough.
see people,
THC,
marijuana kills. Nah.
Whatever.
That's me being an asshole. Okay.
Yeah. No, but anyhow, they couldn't tell, like, they didn't say that, like, he smoked right before the race.
Oh no. From what I heard, yeah, it was.
It really boils down to you should have never got out of the fucking car. Like, they always tell you never to get out of the car unless you're, like, burning or something like that.
Yeah, it's the safest
You know?
place you could be, for lack of a
Right.
better term, because they're made to be crashed into. Not that they're made to be crashed into, but, you know, you're a hell of a lot safer than just with your flesh and bones and
Right, they want you to wait
burn
to
suit.
let them know you're okay, but then they want you to stay the hell in the car so that they can come to you and say, okay, it's okay for you to get out of the car now because all the cars flying by aren't gonna fucking hit you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that kid, he was being a hothead too. That kid was being a
Yeah,
hothead.
he definitely made
Yeah.
a gigantic mistake because he was almost egging it on.
Yeah.
You know, he was even making like a come at me kind
Right,
of
and I'll tell you, you're
kind of
right about
emotion.
that too. Stewart is a hothead too. Like I specifically remember one time he came out of one race. I don't remember what race it was, but he comes out and the whole thing had happened because he blew a tire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he gets right on TV and it's just like, well, if Goodyear wasn't giving us such shitty tires this year.
Wow.
Oh yeah. And Goodyear has like the whole sponsorship, so like they give the tire. Oh yeah. So he totally just went on there and called them out, just like, you guys are giving us shit tires this year. Now my car's wrecked. You know, I mean, like he was pissed. And yeah, I mean, like he's had some tiffs with other drivers. Kevin Harvick very much comes to mind immediately, and there's been some other drivers down the road and everything.
And I don't watch, since I never watched it. I only know Tony Stewart from before the controversy.
Yeah.
From fucking Burger King commercials. You know.
That's right.
You know that's for someone who doesn't watch doesn't watch NASCAR.
Yeah.
This is a real, we're talking wrestling and NASCAR. This is a real good old boy episode. But yeah, so you would think the commercialization is sort of like killing. Is it sort of
absolutely?
You know, when something gets a little too popular.
It's been overdone. It's been overdone, especially too like when they started trying to do shit like having like Dale Jr. rapping with Snoop Dogg and that kind of shit. It was like a lot of us checked out. We're done. We're out.
We're done.
So,
Gotcha.
and a lot of it is too, like, you know, like they're having like a hard time too keeping even the good ones, you know, because like for instance, and a lot of it, some of it's beyond their control. Like, you know, like Brian Vickers is like one of the guys that I definitely hooked onto right away. He got sick and he couldn't drive anymore, but he's a young guy. He's my age. You know, like this year alone, we had Carl Edwards also retire. You know what I mean? Which that was another big one too. Like he was a really good driver and everything. So they're having a hard time kind of keeping them like going and a lot of that. A lot of it has to do with like their physical, you know, their physical health, you know, because I think that's why, like Carl Edwards really hasn't given a reason why he retired, but he retired very abruptly, you know, like without
it's better to like retire than to, you know, have an accident or, you know.
Yeah, you should tell Mark Martin that though. He tried to retire. He retired twice.
Well,
Mark Martin went on the retirement tour and then like 2 years later went on the retirement tour again.
He's like the Undertaker.
Because he decided, he's like, I'm going to retire. I'm not a
because he's sitting at home staring at the walls, missing 65,000 people or 120,000 people cheering his name.
I don't think this guy made it through one race, if I remember correctly. I think he was back like for the first race the next season, like after he retired. You know,
you take a job like that, you don't retire.
You stay involved in some way. That's what Stewart's doing right now, is just being like a car owner and all that. So it looks like Edwards is away from the sport, though. The other guy that I just told you about who retired, looks like he's pretty much staying away. So, we got a comment?
Oh no, we have a like about it.
Hey.
And all right. So what we also had on what I have in my notes that we were kind of not talking about, but I had mentioned before the episode, something that's a little dear to you.
Autism Awareness Month.
So April is Autism Awareness Month.
Yes, got the blue nails.
Get your blue lights on.
It had the blue lights on just for the one night. I don't put the blue lights on for more than one night because Rob's got the blue, my neighbor next door, the cop, has a blue light on for emergency reason.
Oh, okay.
Because like you know how like at schools and stuff like that they have the blue lights for the like the emergency phones, like that's your go-to spot, or if there's like a office or whatever like that you can go to for like security office.
Oh, okay. Like like when you're on a walkway, they have that phone that has.
That's why my neighbor has a blue light. Like I don't know if you ever noticed that or not, but my neighbor's got a blue light that he keeps on all year round. And that's why, because when he's home, he turns it on, and that's because if there's somebody with an emergency, the blue light's supposed to kind of alert them that they can go there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Gotcha. So I only have, when I do light it up, that's the one thing I do gotta say, like Autism Speaks missed the mark on that one, was not connecting the fact that like, you know, like schools and universities and a lot of public places use blue lights to signify emergency. And then they came out with lighted up blue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like wrong color.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so I do it for just the one night, but we did it on Sunday because it's April 2nd, is every year is Autism Awareness Day, and that's the day that they light up like Niagara Falls and all other national.
Yeah, the buildings here in Rochester
not even national,
blue.
like world.
Yeah, the Empire State Building goes blue.
Opera House in Sydney went blue.
We have a couple buildings here in Rochester that light up their lights for certain nights, and I believe they were
Rundell
blue.
Library is one of them.
Yeah, that's okay. The library,
Yeah.
and Tower. I want to say Tower 280 is the other one, the one that has the strip that like it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tower 2. If I'm not mistaken, and I think they did theirs blue also on the second, and
we did ours.
And this sort of, I don't know if it's connected on purpose, but just about a month ago they announced that Sesame Street is going
actually been a project in the works now that I've known about for about a year and a half. And the reason why I've known about it is because one of the people who are working on it is this guy Frank, and he's a blogger named Autism Daddy. And I gotta tell you, like this guy has been responsible for me keeping my sanity for probably like the last like 6 years since I got turned on to his blog and everything like that. Because like, I mean, like one, thank God he put it out there like that and everything, because it really made me not feel alone, you know, because like I'm doing this whole thing without a partner, you know, because my ex-husband's not, you know, here parenting with me and everything, so I'm doing it, and sometimes you kind of do feel a little like shut in and everything. And it was just like reading through this guy's blog and just kind of like realizing that like, you know, like there's a lot of that kind of stuff that they go through too, and seeing how they handle it and everything like that, and implementing some of it into my life and all that, you know, like having that out there has been a real blessing. Then fast forward, it turns out the entire time, and well before this guy was doing a blog and all know that. He happens to work for Sesame Street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So his son in particular is older than my oldest. My oldest is 10. His son is a teenager. I think I want to say 15 at this point. He is a nonverbal autistic child. And he's handling also epilepsy along with it at this point. Like, that wasn't the initial that came along, like, over time. But, yeah, so he's got a son with autism, you know, with the nonverbal. And it also kind of really connected him to the community and everything like that. Because, like, there was just, like, because you really do connect on all levels and stuff like that, because like there is like, you know, like when somebody has autism, one person's autism isn't the same as somebody else's autism. So like the challenge is there's a lot of similarities, but there's also a lot of differences and everything. Yeah. And that's why they have the puzzle piece as the representation of that, in order to like show that, like, you know, you got to kind of figure it all out and put the pieces together in order to make it all work. And my kids, as you see, are testaments of that. I mean, like, because really, if you would have saw them how we started out, like back when, before they had early intervention come in and everything, I mean, like, I just went through a bunch of Louis' old IEPs actually, from like back in preschool, back in like the first elementary school, and they call like Durante Smith intermediate school. They call his school like an intermediate school, you know. And he's about to transition to the middle school now. And I've been going back and reading, but like just to see, like going back and seeing like how the things that we were working on in stepping stones, like the simple, just like, you know, and like remembering too, just like, you know, like, cause like the simple things that we were trying to work on was like Lou will walk from the car to the classroom without incident. Like, and I'm talking like it's not, and I'm not talking like by himself either or anything. I'm talking like with me or with the aide or whatever, but like, because like we couldn't get him to just go up the stairs without him like dropping down to the ground and flailing his arms and kick, you know, I mean, like it was pretty crazy times, you know, pretty crazy, like pretty, you know, way different than what we're handling now, you know. And if you hadn't had all that come in at the time and start breaking it down and everything like that, there's no way that they'd be progressing the way they are and everything. And yeah, so anyhow, going back to the Autism Daddy guy, he got like real connected into like the autism community and everything like that. And then also along with like his job and everything, like, you know, that he had going on, they decided to start implementing this whole character, you know, and eventually they decided to make it a girl as opposed to a boy, because the thought now, like the stigma implanted into some people's heads is like, you know, boys get it, girls don't, because a lot of people have heard like, you know, like it happens to like one in so many boys and then, you know, but only one in so many girls or anything like that. But like, you know, like you can see with my kids too, I got one boy and one girl, and they both have it, you know what I mean?
I mean, forgive my ignorance, I didn't know that, but
yeah,
so
that's why they went with a girl and everything. The girl who is puppeteering the girl also has a son with autism, or I don't know if it's exactly a son or a daughter, but she has a child with autism as well. And her child is high functioning, which is more along the lines of like what my children, they're on that side of the spectrum, which means that they're verbal, they talk, you know, pretty much and everything. So you know, they deal with like different types of things, like sensory things, or you know, like my daughter's got OCD on top of it too, so sometimes it's kind of hard to break down which one's which, you know.
Gotcha.
But yeah, and I mean, like honestly, the character is definitely a step in the right direction, because like what it is like, you know, like one of the statements that gets used a lot in like the autism community as well is that basically awareness is just a direction, but acceptance is the destination. That's what it is. I had to think about it for a second. Yeah, so that's what it is. And that's really like a huge step in that right destination there, because like a lot of people do know it's out there. A lot of people understand somewhat what it's all about, or know that they got, you know, that they do kind of interact with it in their lives, but they're not exactly sure exactly where they interact with it in their lives, or exactly, you know, I mean, they know it's around, but they don't really know exactly what it is.
I mean, you know, like in pop culture, I mean, you know, the obvious one would be like a Rain Man, but that's so old, and that's so like one specific character, you know, one specific part of the spectrum where, you know, unfortunately it hasn't penetrated pop culture in a way where, you know, where there is that one person where everyone goes, oh yeah, you know. But then again, you can't just point at one person because there's so many different variations of.
But then they've planted characters in there too that like are very obvious to be on the spectrum, but they never say that they're on the spectrum. You know, like for instance, The Big Short. Have you ever seen The Big Short?
I haven't.
With like Ryan Gosling.
Everyone keeps telling me about it.
You gotta see that.
Everyone tells me how great it is. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. So then the other Bane. Who plays Bane? Come on. I'm picturing him.
I can't believe I can't
Christian
believe.
Bale?
Oh, Christian Bale's Batman.
No. Yeah, that's what I mean. Actually, Christian Bale.
Oh, okay.
Not Bane, Christian Bale. So anyhow, he's in it and he plays a character, and it's definitely obvious that he's on the spectrum. It's definitely obvious, but they never say it at all through the whole film. But it's definitely obvious. I mean, right down to the fact that the guy won't wear shoes. You know what I mean? That's definitely something that's on the spectrum, man. I mean, like, I have a friend of mine also who has a son on the spectrum, and that's definitely something that all three of our kids have in common, is that we can't keep freaking socks or shoes on their damn feet. You know what I mean? And Craig, I mean, his father actually brought him over here for a sleepover for an entire night without shoes.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
What about like a Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory?
Oh, definitely. I think he's definitely Asperger's by far. And then, yeah, definitely. So, like, there's another plant right there. I think he's definitely Asperger's, you know, definitely. I mean, like, you know, and then they had the one character from Parenthood that they actually did, like, they very much put it out there that he had Asperger's. But also the accountant, Ben Affleck.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Hello.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Very obviously on the spectrum. Never point it out or say it, but I mean, hello. It's very, very, very obvious if you even have any sort of interaction with anyone, that like very quickly you figure that out on that character, you know, and everything. So yeah, but talking about Sesame Street, I got one for you that I learned this tidbit today, and I'm gonna bestow knowledge on you because I was blown the freak away by this one, right? So the reason why I brought out about this one today is because I wanted to tell you about the Challenger exhibit thing, which is really cool at the Rochester Center, you know, the Rochester Museum.
I think I know where you're going.
Very cool project, but still, yeah, seriously, they were gonna send Big Bird into space.
Yeah,
did you ever know this shit?
Actually, I mean, I had heard that originally it was going to be Big Bird, and then they decided to go with the teacher.
No,
the guy who plays
Big Bird. They were
going
to send Big Bird with the teacher. This is what I read today. Okay, I read this whole thing about they were going to send Big Bird with the teacher. Like they were going to send both. All right, and then like something happened, and apparently Sesame Street were the ones that were like, you know what, this isn't a good idea. NASA was like totally on board with it.
Well, because I remember
they totally wanted to do it.
86. I mean, I remember we watched it in class.
Can you fucking imagine if they would have sent Big Bird into space?
Big Bird died in front of a nation of children.
Jesus Christ!
We would we'd still be in therapy.
We would be fucked up so bad.
Yeah.
Like.
And especially, like, I mean, you know,
Thank God something intervened on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that is just crazy to think about. Like, just how fucked up would the world be if they would have sent our beloved Big Bird in this space?
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember, like, 86, in 86, I was 9 years old, so I was in third grade, and I remember them specifically rolling in the TV set into our classroom.
Me too.
And we watched it. You know, I clearly remember the day as because it was, for lack of a better term, traumatic. You know, so to understand that somebody died right then and there. And so, I mean, and had it been Big Bird, I mean, don't get me wrong, all respects to the teacher.
Obviously, yes. No, obviously.
All respects to the teacher, but I didn't know this, you know, the teacher was someone I just heard about. You know, Big Bird was a part of my childhood.
I mean, like, it was a big deal to sending the teacher in. I mean, because, like, they were going to do, like, lessons from space.
Well, yeah, that's why we were watching it.
That was huge.
That's why we were watching it, because a teacher was going into space. That, you know, that was, NASA was trying to, at that time, push, you know, an agenda that made kids more aware of the space program, wanting to, you know, think about science and stuff like that, you know, because, you know, by the time we hit this part of our lives, we'd be more involved in mathematics and science and stuff like that.
Which is why they were pushing for Big Bird to be in there.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, they were basically going to be making that, like, Big Bird, like, the camo, you know, like, you know, the Camel cigarettes.
Yeah.
But, you know, Big Bird would be for NASA, and then they'd be able to pump a lot of that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, I mean, because, you know.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
When I read that, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot even imagine if that had actually gone through and happened.
Yeah, that would have been.
Oh my God.
that would have been pretty fucked up.
That would have been terrible. Absolutely terrible. So.
All right, so let's go. Let's do quick fire.
Yeah, what do you got?
All right, so I mean, usually the second half of the show is the nerdy news. Let me see. Well, here's one thing we could definitely agree on: the new Justice League trailer.
fucking
came out.
I gotta tell you though, see, I was having a conversation with Andrew here when he was here though, and I'm just like, like, dude, did you see that Justice League trailer? Like, like, how are you not freaking just like losing your shit, man? And he's like, well, I watched this 4.5 minute trailer that was online. He's like, and I don't know. He's like, I really wasn't all that impressed, and it's not. He's like, and then I watched the new one, and it wasn't all that much new, and this and that. He's like, so he's like, I just whatever. Well, then they left and everything. So later, I told him like, I'm gonna Google that later and everything. So we just kind of moved on in conversation or whatever. And I Googled it and I watched that one, the 4.5 one that he was talking about, and I think he was right too. Like honestly, if I would have seen that 4.5 minute trailer first, because like when I was watching it, I mean like I was just like okay, like and that was it. It was just like okay, like it just like that. One that I'm glad I saw the one that you posted first because that one just freaking was like like I just was blown away, absolutely just blown away. I'm like, this movie's gonna kick ass. It's gonna be better than Suicide Squad. I don't want to put that expectation on it, so I'm not gonna keep telling myself that because I'm young. But I'm definitely going to IMAX to see this shit. I mean, like that was what was going on in my head. I was pumped up, man. Yeah. And then I watched that 4.5 minute one, and it was just like. Now I'm kind of just like, okay, well, maybe I might go to Rich Culver.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This movie's already starting 2 steps back. I mean, Man of Steel was, Batman v Superman. The theatrical cut was, so
the one that I saw, I liked.
Yeah, the good one. The 3-hour one is the good one. The director's cut, the ultimate cut. Yeah. Is the one worth watching. So this movie is coming in. It is coming in at a disadvantage, and the fact that both those movies directed by Zack Snyder, and this one is directed by Zack Snyder.
That was something else my buddy mentioned too.
Yeah, he said it's gonna be like a 3-hour movie or 3.5. It's gonna be like it's gonna be a long fucking movie.
Right.
And does it, I mean, I guess maybe it's because I'm a fanboy, but like, I'm excited about it. You know what I'm saying? I like the fact, that they had this trailer and was like, one, obviously we haven't seen any Superman yet. He's obviously coming back, but I'm kind of glad that they're not putting that in our face,
Yeah, but that's one thing I wanted to ask too. Don't you see, Lois Lane?
Lois Lane's in it.
A very quick second.
No, yeah, she's clearly in the
shot of her.
Well, I mean, she's in the universe. I mean, technically, if you wanted to, you could have Lois. Well, no, I was gonna say you could have her in the Wonder Woman movie, but Wonder Woman movie takes place in like 1912. But I'm just saying is you could have technically had Lois Lane in the Suicide Squad movie. She's in the universe, So
right, yeah.
So I mean, having her there,
she could have been walking down the street.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been, or they could have panned over to a TV and she's been doing a news report. I mean, in the movie she's a newspaper reporter, but yeah. I mean, seeing her. I mean, obviously it's going to be addressed where is Superman, or not where is Superman, but even, she's in it, and we're going to see Superman again.
They're definitely hinting towards it.
Yeah, I like the fact that they didn't spoil it yet, and I hope they keep that. I hope, even though the whole world knows he's coming back, I don't want to see Superman in one. I don't want to see him in a poster. I don't want to see him in a commercial. You know what I'm saying? Please, DC, do the right thing. Don't show us Superman, even though we know he's coming. It's the worst kept secret ever.
Don't release the toy like 3 weeks before the movie's been out.
Yeah, it's so. But the Flash does big shoes to fill from the TV show, but I kind of like the personality. You know what I'm saying? From the 30 seconds in the trailer, I kind of like what they're doing with him. Wonder Woman, I'm already on board with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, me too.
And I think the breakout character was fucking Aquaman. Aquaman made this movie. He's fun, he's telling guys, he saves a guy and then takes the vodka, it's on him or something like that. Seeing Batman, the ridiculous, obviously the character, Aquaman is a ridiculous character, but for him to see Batman and, you dress like a bat, I'm down or whatever, I think
one shot at the end there just definitely
when he's riding on top of the Batmobile.
Yes, absolutely, and they just act like knives
and he jumps off and he fight.
That scene, that little bit right there, like that little force, it makes me where I'm just like, man, I'm gonna have to go to Tinseltown.
Well, that's the whole thing is that one of the big problems a lot of people had with Superman and with Batman v Superman was that Man of Steel and Batman v Superman is that these movies are very sour, they're very dark, they're very bleak. And then we finally have a character. Okay, fine. Yeah, you know, I mean, Wonder Woman, you can only do so much with Wonder Woman only because she comes from she's going to be very Shakespearean, for the lack of a better term. She's going to be, you know, serious. They have Aquaman. Aquaman is fucking fun. You know, Flash is fun. And then, you know, Cyborg isn't getting enough play, and I got a special place in my heart for Cyborg. So I kind of hope they push his character more. And while we're talking about everything,
so far it looks like they kind of got him in there like very mainstream, so that's good.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, I'm hoping they do something good with Cyborg, because I think when Cyborg is done right, he could be a great character. But, you know, I mean, between the Flash being like the eager little kid, like Flash is like the little brother that wants to fucking tag along,
right?
You know what I'm saying? And then and Aquaman's like the drunk uncle that everyone likes hanging out with. You know, you know, at least you know, okay, yeah, let Batman be Batman, let Wonder Woman be Wonder Woman. They're serious characters and whatever. You know, let's have some fun. You know, and that's the, you know, you have a lot of fun when you take a serious character and put him with a fun character. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because then it just makes it, you know. It brings a balance.
Working with that dynamic for years.
Yeah, I mean, if you have serious Superman and serious Batman, yeah, it's gonna be a little sour. It's gonna be a little dark. But now that we have some fun characters, you know, I'm all for it. So I'm super excited about the Justice League. Let me see. Power Rangers. So the Power Rangers.
I know they did a new Power Rangers.
It was fun.
About the extent of that. So right on.
It was a fun flick. I have to say that. I enjoyed it. It wasn't the greatest movie in the world, and it's funny that you had mentioned about bringing characters with autism. They had actually made one of the characters in the movie on the spectrum. Yeah, the black kid. And I hate to say, it sounds like the black kid, but you know what I mean. That kid, the Blue Ranger, Billy Cranston. They made his character autistic, and cool. But what I like, and then with the Yellow Ranger, and if one's in it, this is everyone knows, it's not like we're spoiling it. She turns out to be a lesbian. But what I like is that even with these two revelations, or even with these two, you know, taking a character and kind of adding something, you know, sometimes a movie, they'll take that and they'll fucking force it down your throat. Right. This is sort of like, no, these are the characters you still love, or approximation of the characters that you love, and we're not forcing an agenda down your throat. We're not she's a lesbian, she's persecuted for being a lesbian, even though she feels like she's like a bit of an outsider, but it's not like her whole story is, oh, my life is horrible because I'm a lesbian.
Well, we're also in 2017. Maybe.
Well, no, but I'm just saying but it would have been very easy to make that her cross to bear. You know what I'm saying?
True.
And then the kid with autism.
Did they just do that with Supergirl or something like that? Like, I heard a lot of controversy going on about Supergirl and the sister.
Well, yeah, Supergirl's sister.
Came out or something like that.
Well, yeah, in the show, her sister is a lesbian and is in a relationship. Actually, they had won like an award from GLAAD, the like gay.
That's
lesbian,
probably what I heard about it and everything.
And you know, and the funny thing is, see, and here's where I think they are kind of shoving that down our throats. And you know, I like Supergirl, and it's sort of like, you know, and you know, because I'm a lesbian, you know, like as much as I love Supergirl, I feel they're trying a little too hard to show how open-minded they are. Gotcha. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, it's great. You know, we have a character on a mainstream show. You know, a lot of young boys watch Supergirl, and you know, it's good to kind of have that dynamic of people who watch a show. You know, young boys understand that, and of course, young girls also is. I mean, Supergirl is going to have a female audience, but I'm talking about reaching the people that wouldn't traditionally. You know, young boys aren't going to watch a show about lesbian. You know, I mean, not that kind of. But I'm saying is, you sort of, I guess you would on Pornhub or whatever, but I'm just saying is, you know, you put
bad example.
You put that. I'm saying you would put that in there where it's not all some bullshit fantasy. You know, I mean, obviously we're talking about a show about an alien girl from out, you know, flies and shit. But I'm just saying is I understand why it's there. I feel in my part of hearts, and as liberal as I try to think I am, I feel they kind of push that a little too much on the show. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, and it's like always like, you know, I don't know. It's sort of like, you know, they kind of push the issue that they're same sex, and I for some reason it bothers me a little bit. But you know, but I think, I mean, they're doing the right thing, but I don't think they're doing it the right way. But back to Power Rangers, like the character that's on the spectrum, as a matter of fact, it comes to his benefit because he's an electronics genius. Okay. You know, and as part of like, you know, he helps out because that's not really spoiling anything. The main character, the Red Ranger, gets on house arrest and he has to wear an ankle bracelet, whatever. And Billy Cranston, the character, he's like an electronics genius. And they're like, well, I can help you out because I can fool the censor into thinking that you're home, have the police think you're home while you come out and help me with the project that I want to help because
Okay.
yeah, because his in the movie his father's like a miner, like a miner guy's digging.
Yeah.
And he misses his father. His father passed away, so he wants the Red Ranger, the character's the Red Ranger, to drive him out to the quarry and stuff like that, and to help him with something, to help him with a little project he's working on. But once again, it would have been very easy to make that, the big he's autistic and make a big whoop about it. And I like the fact that they kind of just this is. And it's sad that earlier I said the black guy, and that's how we figure out, saying we're trying to be progressive, but that he happens to be, what I'm saying? He's a good character, and he's electronics genius, happens to be autistic, And so, but one thing I got to say about the Power Rangers is it was fun. It was a fun movie.
Well, that's good then.
When Batman v Superman is fucking sour. When Transformers, a cartoon I loved growing up, I watched those movies and I was like, oh, it's so fucking depressing, and it's so much. They took silly characters, they kept it light. It was an action-packed movie. I enjoyed it. I dug it, and I think with this, hopefully. I hope they don't fuck it up. They're going to do a sequel. They have to do a sequel. But, and I think also Elizabeth Banks being in it, well, Bryan Cranston being in it brought a lot of legitimacy to it.
Yeah.
Because Bryan Cranston, back in the day before he was Bryan Cranston, was actually the voice of a lot of the monsters. So that's why.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I didn't know that.
Back when he was a nobody. So that's why he jumped on the bandwagon. Is he going to do the movie? Sure. Because that was part of when he was fucking eating ramen noodles and shit. That was how he paid his bills. So, he brought a legitimacy to it. And Elizabeth Banks, Elizabeth Banks is fucking real deal. You know what I'm saying? And I like the end of the movie, her makeup, the way they made her look, that was kind of stupid. But in the middle of the movie, they make her look like a witch. Even though Rita Repulsa is kind of like a witch, but she looks beat up like a fucked up homeless woman, I guess would be the best way to put it.
Okay.
And they should have kept that. They should have kept her. And of course, Elizabeth Banks is a beautiful woman, but I liked her midway through the movie because she was repulsive, And so those two brought a lot of legitimacy to the movie, and it was fun.
Very cool.
You got anything there, or
what was it? Yeah, it's not what Brad's wife.
Yeah.
After 11 years, seriously though. Still no answers on Brad's wife. I'm sorry, but we need justice for Brad's wife.
Justice
we really
for Brad's
do.
wife.
Seriously, if you don't know about that, Brad's wife, everybody's got to know about that by now. Brad's wife got fired from Cracker Barrel. Brad wanted to know why. He posted on Cracker Barrel's Facebook page. Amari King apparently picked up on it after a few other people and put him on blast, and it has been funny as shit. Ever since. It's hysterical.
I swear to God, in the past 2 weeks with my job, because I have part of my job is reaching out to people. I've spoken to 2 people who work at Cracker Barrel, and I want to bring up Brad's wife so bad, but it's I know they probably don't want to fucking.
Cracker Barrel, Brad's wife.
She ain't never gonna pay her bills.
Yeah.
So and I'd seen someone had edited their wiki page, the Wikipedia page, where it said, it was a Wikipedia that said employees 45,000 or whatever, minus Brad's wife.
I love it. It's that's just one of the reasons why I love the internet so much, because that's just one of those things.
It takes something that's so innocuous and stupid and
it's so hysterical.
Just make a celebrity out of Brad's wife.
Even. Yes.
Oh yeah.
On his birthday. Yeah. No, there was that. I got by Dunkin' Donuts too on April Fool's.
Oh, you got?
I did get got. You didn't see that? Yeah,
well,
I totally got there.
I thought you posted that.
I posted that, and I figured that
that it was a joke.
No, I thought they were making them in honor of April Fool's Day. Right?
Okay, so
and then here I am, right, with my girl Heather, who's just as smart as me, All of a sudden, we're sitting here. She's like, she's like, I used to work at Dunkin'. She's like, and when they do limited time things and all that, she's like, they only make so much per day, and once they're out of them, they're out of them, and then So I'm all like, well, shit. I'm like, we better stop what we're doing. We better go down there, right? And her. Right? Giving up sweets for lunch. She's all like, well, sister, only available for a limited time.
She's trying to use an excuse.
I'm going to buy some and I'm going to freeze.
Wow. That is desperation. When you plan on freezing donuts or donut holes or whatever, vanilla nut taps.
Seriously, vanilla nut taps. Yes, that's what it was called. Vanilla nut taps.
So for
which is in honor of a Saturday Night Live skit, which is absolutely delightful. If you've not seen it,
look
please
up
go
Saturday Night Live.
Just
Dunkin'
SNL,
Donuts,
Dunkin' Donuts.
maybe Casey
That's all
Affleck.
you need right there. All you need is on YouTube is SNL, Dunkin' Donuts. Trust me, I've shown a bunch of people it.
Okay.
Yeah, and it comes right up.
So it was because, and I guess I don't know.
In part of the skit, they do that. He's just like, tell them what your favorite donut is. Tell them what your favorite donut is. The vanilla nut test. Vanilla nut test. Boom.
And he smacks the guy in the nuts.
Yeah, and then they posted on April Fool's Day. That, and it looked like the way that I had read it, and then I went back and reread it, and I was like, oh fuck. I'm like, if I would have read it right the first time, I would have totally just I would have known. But the way I had read it, I thought they said that they were doing it in honor of April Fool's Day. So I thought it was their joke. Their joke was, hey, we're putting out this donut for one day so that people are going in there and ordering vanilla nut tabs. Well, yeah, they had people ordering
you want a vanilla nut tab?
They had people ordering vanilla nut tabs already because here me and Heather stopped what we were doing and fucking went down there.
Wow.
I'm telling you, too.
I wonder how many people actually went to Dunkin' Donuts that day.
That one, we were the first ones in there that day to ask at that point. So, but then I showed the guy the skit, too, because he didn't know what I was talking about either when I told him. Like, it's from the skit. And he's like, what? What skit? I'm like,
wow.
So I showed that kid the skit and everything. He was cracking up, actually. And, yeah, so I did get got. And not even by my youngest son thought he was pulling a fast one on me, too. He's like, I pooped my pants. He like tried. I'm like, no, you didn't. I'm like, because I can't smell it.
Yeah, because the sketch, I mean, what I liked about the sketch, I mean, it's Casey Affleck.
Yes.
It's a commercial for Dunkin' Donuts, and I
definitely
know,
like in
and
Boston or something.
It's a Dunkin' Donuts is, I mean, especially it's a Northeast thing because I know there was a big deal when they finally opened up a Dunkin' Donuts in Los Angeles about a year or two ago.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was the first one open because they have like everything else out there. And so, yeah, and
I just thought they were like on every corner everywhere.
Well, that's and see,
wow,
and I believe. Okay. All right, so
we drove down to Florida when we went to Florida. I mean, like, and trust me, we could find Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts. Trying to think what else too. I mean, like, obviously your main chains too, like McDonald's.
Well, about a year or two ago, and that's only because like we're friends. Like, being a part of the podcast, we're friends of like guys who did this cartoon called Megas XLR.
Okay.
And they live in Los Angeles, and they got all the guys who created the show are originally from New Jersey. So when they finally opened up a Dunkin' Donuts out in Los Angeles, it was a big deal. Huh. It was like finally a part of our youth is now finally made it to the West Coast.
Oh my god, I didn't realize it wasn't popular out there.
Well, it just I think there's so much competition or whatever.
Sure.
And then plus health conscious LA and stuff like that. Donuts and coffee.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I go there for unsweetened iced teas all the time and shit like that. So.
But if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, I believe their corporate headquarters is in Boston, Massachusetts. Oh. So and the funny thing is that like there are more Dunkin' Donuts in Boston, or at least in Massachusetts, like per capita. There's more than like anywhere else in the world because since that's their corporate headquarters, there just happens to be one every fucking corner.
Right.
So that's part of it, and Casey Affleck coming from strike that I keep saying Boston, but just Massachusetts in general is playing a real masshole, real fucking Joe blue collar.
They definitely play on that stereotype. They're definitely playing on that environment and that stereotype.
Dude, bro, kind of a guy, and and he shows his phone, and his screen is all mashed up, and he's trying to smoke a cigarette, but he's holding his hand out the door, and he's like, "Sir, you can't smoke a cigarette." And, my hand's out the door,
Yeah.
So
that's good.
He plays the character. It's funny, like you watch that, and yes, it's a character, but we've all seen that guy. We all know that guy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Even the kid that I showed the thing to, he's like, "We got customers in here like that all the time." Like, yeah, he told me that. And no, it's definitely a good skit. I was very disappointed because the picture looked so delicious. I mean, they looked so good. It was like vanilla cake, like the vanilla donut.
Vanilla cake with nuts.
It had a filling, and it had like the nuts on the outside of it, and then like more frosting dribbled on it. Like they looked.
That sounds like heaven.
You would stop what you were doing and go get them fucking donuts, would you not?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I heard
vanilla
nut
not
tabs,
April Fool's Day, but
I mean, nothing got me this year, and I'm not saying that because like, I'm so Mr. fucking special, nothing's gonna get me. But there was one they actually reported on the radio, and I put that on my Facebook page where they said Sammy Hagar is going to be the lead singer, is replacing the lead singer of Tool, and Tool Tool has a very specific sound, and without taking anything away from Sammy Hagar, there's no way. Yeah. And you know what it is, and they took.
It's great.
And what it is there is a photo because Maynard James Keenan, the lead singer of Tool, has a vineyard. He has like a legitimate vineyard that he runs. And then Sammy Hagar has a tequila company. Okay. So there is a picture of them legitimately sitting at a table drinking wine. Oh my God. So someone took that photo and a whole article. Where they talked about it on the Brother Wee show, and like at that time I'm like, and I'm in the middle of doing something. I was like, I wanted to text in and say that's an April Fool's joke, and and I looked it up and I googled it and it was on a bunch of websites or whatever, and then the third one says that a Tool tricks a lot of people with this. And it's like, who would think? Once again, Sammy Hagar, as a metalhead, I respect everything Sammy Hagar does. I respect his role in the industry. There's no way he's gonna fucking be replacing Tool.
Yeah, that just doesn't.
That's just not gonna fucking happen. So I mean, like that one was like big. People had posted. Now, have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy, the movie?
I've seen the first one. There's two.
No, the same. Well, 2 comes out this year. Okay. Do you? I don't know. I mean,
I didn't realize the second one hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, the second one comes out later on this year.
I thought it had already come out.
At the very, very end of the movie, as an end credit, as one of those end credits, and Marvel movies always kind of have a little thing in the end credits.
Yeah.
They have
a little after scene.
Yeah, they have Howard the Duck, and remember there was a movie in the '80s, Howard the Duck. That was it's the same. It's based on the same character, but
I didn't want. I turned it off after the
when the credits.
I watched it on Red, or
Redbox,
or whatever.
Yeah, well, what happened is the director of the movie wanted to do something special for the movie, so in the end credits he brought back Howard the Duck, just to be like end credits, just
That's
like
cool.
here's a thing. So there were people who made a fake poster saying that they're going to do a Howard the Duck movie. Now, don't get me. I wouldn't be surprised.
Howard the Duck was good back in our day, but
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I wouldn't be
if they brought
surprised
it back now.
if Marvel. Guardians of the Galaxy was such a ridiculous movie that I can see that's the whole reason the director put it in there.
I mean, like that's the thing. It was a fun ride. I mean, like it wasn't the best.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's not out of the realm of possibility. But
definitely glad like I rented it or whatever.
But there were posters. The people had posting posters online, and yeah, it would look licensed, legitimate. People have really good Photoshop skills.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, if they were even thinking about making this movie, we would have heard about it. Fucking Disney would have fucking announced it a long time. You know what I'm saying? Like it's one of those deals where we know about movies 3 years
heard
before
about
they're
Babylon.
Yeah,
Period.
3 years before.
Yeah, reboots. They announced every single one of them on there pretty much.
So I saw that, and for a split second, I'm like, well, they're finally gonna do a Howard, or should I say redo a Howard the Duck movie? And I'm like, nah, this is a fucking April Fool's joke. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, I don't want to say that's like, I don't say got like for a split second. I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, oh yeah, it's it's April Fool's. So I mean, if you want to say there was one that got me, that was that one.
That was that one, the Howard the Duck one.
Yeah.
Not really.
All right, let me see. Joss Whedon, the guy who actually directed the first 2 Avengers movies, is now defecting from Marvel and is going to work for DC.
I've heard about this.
And he's going to be doing a Batgirl movie. Now, that being said, Joss Whedon is also the creative mind behind Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Okay. So, strong, young woman fighting.
It's kind of his forte.
Yeah, I mean, like the first Avengers movie was fantastic. The second one was, I wanted to fucking love it. I just didn't. Mm-hmm. So I think he finally understood that he kind of lost his mojo. Mm-hmm.
The first one was great.
Yeah, the first one was fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. The second one though,
Age of Ultron, and once again, I don't want to blame him too much. I think there was a lot of studio involvement, and he made the best movie he could without. I think they put a lot of pressure on him to make a movie that sort of connects to the whole universe. Mm-hmm. When in the first movie, he sort of I'm making the universe, so don't And then the second one, I think he got a little bogged down, and so. But for him, I mean, I say defect. I mean, I don't feel any ill will. I don't think, you sell out, you're going to DC. Mm-hmm. But I mean, and if DC's following the same rules that they're doing now, I'm just staring out to space.
No.
If DC, somehow this is going to be connected to the whole Suicide Squad, Batman v Superman, Justice League. This should be in that same universe,
right?
And then Batgirl could be in any fucking city. It doesn't have to be Gotham. It could be she could maybe get her start in Gotham and then move off to
somewhere else,
some other.
Yeah.
And DC has a tendency of like making up cities. Like Marvel's always in the real world. Marvel's always in New York City. DC makes up cities.
Right.
There's Jump City and Cornerstone City, and they make up names to sort of like here's a city that's a lot like Philadelphia,
but it's not
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It's the Keystone City. It's Keystone City, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is known as the Keystone State. So it's a lot like Philly, but she can be in a fictional city, maybe start in Gotham, but move out to her own place. You know what I'm saying? Like getting out from under the shadow of Batman or whatever. Yeah. So I think Joss Whedon, it's a good idea. Like I said, defected. He's not really defected. He's going to go and make a movie that he's probably going to be good at making.
Sounds like it.
Let me see. I don't know. Have you seen the trailer for It?
No, not really into that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not really into horror movies or gore, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not big into it.
Well, I read the book and...
Like, the cartoon violence I can handle or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, the LaBeouf's still trying to find a place to continue his class. Did you see the latest on that?
Who?
Shia LaBeouf. This whole, like, the He Will Not Divide Us movement?
Oh, yeah, when he puts the flag and...
He put the flag up, they took the flag down, and they replaced it with they replaced it with the t-shirt and the hat, right?
Uh-huh.
So then he ended up moving the operation to London, right? And like within the first 2 days, they started fucking with it, and they had to take it down. And now he's looking for another place to put it. But now, like, they've had to actually move it out of the country. Mm-hmm. Now it's gotten that far. But like the extent that these guys went to, man, to find that freaking flag, wasn't that nuts?
It's sad that these guys they were looking at like the way the sun hit it during a certain time of day,
flight patterns in the background of airplanes and stuff.
The weather.
Yeah.
And then I think, but the big one was because Shia LaBeouf had like posted from some sort of like diner, and it wasn't even that.
He
it was
or some girl posted a picture of her
with him.
It wasn't even him.
And then someone's like, "Oh yeah, I know that diner." Someone was like, "Oh, that diner is such and such
but
city."
I think she posted. If I remember correctly, I don't think he posted it.
Oh yeah. She posted it.
He took a picture with her. She posted it. Somebody recognized the diner. Was like, "Oh yeah, I know that diner." They started to pinpoint the area at least, and then they sent a car out and had the car start honking.
Oh yeah,
and that's how they figured it out, was because the car got honking on the live, because it was a live feed.
Yeah, so the louder it goes, then you're getting closer.
Exactly. So then eventually they figured it out, and then they went there at nighttime and pulled the thing down.
It's again
another reason why I love the internet, though. Just saying, like I love the internet because it gives us stuff like this to enjoy. I mean, like seriously, it's just absolutely delightful.
It's
I love it.
If there's still an internet to be had.
Seriously though, I mean, like I want them to like try and figure out another place again though, just because I just want to keep this game going.
Yeah,
like I just want to see how far they'll keep it going. So
there's a lot of people with a lot of time on their hands.
Which one do you think will get first? Do you think LaBeouf will fail or will succeed? Not succeed or fail. Do you think that he'll what was that word?
Succeed?
No, succeed is like success, but like basically
concede?
He'll fail.
Concede.
Thank you.
Do you
think he'll concede first, or do you think that we will find out why Brad's wife got fired first?
Wow.
which one do you think's gonna happen first? 2017.
We'll find justice for Brad before Shia LaBeouf does something logical. We'll get an answer out of Cracker Barrel before Shia LaBeouf, says, let's not do this anymore.
Oh, I showed my mom that video of Shia LaBeouf there, like Thomas Jefferson. My mom's like, what the? She's like, what's wrong with your generation? He's lower. It's not my generation.
And
he's younger.
It's like I remember when they had. I mean, he was on like Even Stevens, and he did that movie Holes. But I remember when he was on HBO's Project Greenlight.
Yes,
it was one of the later seasons, and it was I remember the movie the Battle for Shaker Heights.
Yes.
And I remember when the cameras were following him, I said, "This fucking kid he's no." Okay, here's the funny thing. I mean, I remember watching that, and I was like,
because he was a kid too. He was only like 17 then.
Yeah, I said this kid's a little kooky. Now, here's the funny thing. About a month ago or 2 months ago, my daughter's, I have my DVD collection on my shelf or whatever, and I have Transformers 1 in the special Optimus Prime box, where it actually looks like Optimus Prime, and you could fold out the legs and the head and the arms, and it stands up and it looks like Optimus Prime.
Right on. How much did that run you?
I mean, at the time, it was probably about $30 or something like that.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
And the
Cool.
DVD's like in his back, and you can pull it out.
Neat.
So my daughter gets her curiosity, and I think it's PG. I don't even think it's even PG-13. So she goes, "What is this? Can we watch this?" All right, put it on. We're watching it. My daughter instantly just fucking zones out. She doesn't care. I think she fell asleep. You know what I'm saying? And I love Transformers, the original Transformers, and I love the 1986 cartoon movie. But the new one is just garbage. I mean, let's be real here. So it's playing. And then I decide, once the movie's over, I said, let me just watch the behind the scenes. If I'm gonna buy a DVD, I'm gonna watch the behind the scenes. I'm gonna watch the director's commentary. I'm gonna watch every fucking. So the funny thing is to watch that video. Watching where it's supposed to be, Shia LaBeouf is working with Michael Bay. Michael Bay's crazy. You know what I'm saying? And can Shia LaBeouf keep up with all this craziness that Michael Bay wants to keep? And it's like, if we only knew then, we know now.
Right.
No, Shia LaBeouf is the fucking crazy one. He's like, it's like, oh, today Michael Bay's gonna have me hanging off the side of a building. Motherfucker, you probably wanted to be there, you fucking psycho. Yeah, right. But it's so funny to watch back then. I mean, like I said, the Battle of Shaker Heights, when they were talking to him, you could tell he was a little fucking off. Because I remember watching that, and I'm like, oh, he's a little kooky. Because at that time, he was the kid from Even Stevens in my head. Right. So it's funny to see that now he's just gone full crazy. Yeah. My last little bit, I saw the Belko experiment about the people who get locked in their office. You have to start killing your coworkers.
What? Oh, fuck off! No.
Yeah, there's these people working in an office building, and how they explain it is it's an office building in Colombia, but they're all Americans. Well, there's Colombian workers who work there, and they're Americans.
It's like the Hunger Games meets The Office.
Yeah, and they all. Now, what happens is they all have trackers embedded in them, and they say, the only excuse they have for that is they go, well, this is Colombia, it's South America. People are known for getting kidnapped, so we put the tracker in you. Since the corporation is responsible for you, we put a tracker in you, so in case you get kidnapped, we can find you. So
what fucking job did these people sign on for?
Exactly.
Where they're going to Colombia, accepting you guys are gonna just pop a tracker in my fucking back of my neck? All right, cool.
And so what happens is one day they're on their way to work.
What do they do?
Their job is they help get Americans to come to other countries to work I want to say, I don't know if it's like relief jobs and stuff like that. Here's a village that's gone underwater, so we help get people from America to go help. It's almost charitable, even though they're a corporation.
All right, so they're in Colombia.
But
trying to get Americans from America.
Yeah,
to Colombia
to staff jobs anywhere in the world.
So they basically are filtering them through basically their
it's like an employment agency, but if you wanted to go work in another country.
Okay.
Not that you want. But they're trying to get Americans to work in another country.
Off, Jesus.
So then what happens is they go to one day they go, and there's these security guards outside, and they're not letting any of the Colombian workers in, just the Americans. And they're like, what the hell's going on here? Whatever. So they go
Surprise!
they go about their merry way. Then all of a sudden, boom. All these big metal gates go over all the windows and the doors. And then the guy goes over the loudspeaker and he goes, right now there's 80 people in this building. And in an hour, we only want 30 alive. There's 80 people in this building. In an hour, we want it to go down to 60. And it goes, and if you don't go down to 60, we'll start killing people till there's only 30 left.
And you're watching this for entertainment?
Well, I mean,
this is entertaining.
And so what happens? And they're like,
each their own, man.
So then they go, and they go, and then they go.
Me, I wouldn't be able to sleep for a week. Just watching it. I feel like just the bars up on my windows.
And it's like, and to show you we mean business, boom, they blow up one person's head. And so they're like, so
that's what the trackers were.
Yeah, the trackers were also bombs.
Better.
So it's like if you don't start killing each other, we'll kill you. So you can fight amongst yourselves and only kill 30, or we'll kill 60.
What the fuck?
So now you got regular random people just, sorry, Jen, it's either you or me. And, I mean, it's a real...
There's a few coworkers from Sprint that...
Oh, yeah, let me say,
I'm just like, you know what?
I look at my job now, I'm like, that motherfucker. This bitch, definitely. This bitch should be the first one I'm going after.
Actually, there's only, that's the thing, though. When I worked at Sprint, though, everybody was actually very, very cool there. So. Yeah. There's a couple people that I could think of that I'd just be like, yeah, you know what,
I mean, it's an interesting concept, but unfortunately, the movie was boring. It was... Well, I don't want to say... I mean, it's sort of like you had a lot of chances to do something with it, and it sort of was just like... It's
just fucked up.
If you're a sensitive person, definitely don't watch this movie.
I'm good.
Like that's the whole thing. Is it's a lot of innocent people begging for their lives, and it's sort of like, and it's like, they should have made it like a little bit more like social commentary or something like that or whatever, and it's like, let's just make a movie to watch people die. And what kills me is that the guy who wrote it is the guy who wrote Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, really?
Like, Guardians of the Galaxy was such a fun movie.
Yeah.
And, he's done a couple other movies that were good. He did this movie called Super. He did this movie called Slither. Super was with the guy from The Office, the guy who played Dwight from The Office, that he plays a superhero.
Right.
Okay,
I know what movie you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right.
He did this movie called Slither, where it's like these alien slugs visit, So all his movies are kind of like odd. Now, but the one caveat is that all those other movies he's directed. This one he just wrote. Oh. So maybe the director fucked it up. Right. But he wrote it, and it was just, I don't know, they had a lot of opportunity to make it like so.
But it does seem to be a little bit different.
Oh, it's cruel. I mean,
but like from even what you mentioned too, you're like, like Slither's about a slug, and
and
then all of a sudden we're talking about like Office with the bars on the windows and bombs planted in the back of your neck.
People's heads start blowing up. And
Hunger Games.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing is they said it's Hunger Games meets like Office Space, And that's the whole thing is you would think it would be like you think it would be a movie goofing on like office culture or whatever, but it was just a movie like let's make a movie that have a lot of people die in. It's saying like it could have been so much better. And without spoiling it, like they kind of leave it where there's probably going to be a part 2. And
goody!
Yeah,
and so then we get to look forward to more of this.
and actually, I had watched an interview with the director, and he goes, actually, I have 2 more movies planned in my head, so this might actually even be a trilogy. Oh, but I think the first one probably didn't do good enough to bring on.
You never know in Hollywood these days, man.
Yeah, I mean, and plus that movie cost $5 to make because it's just a whole bunch of. There's like 2 kind of famous actors. There's the guy who plays the guy from Scrubs, the real asshole doctor.
Oh, I don't know his name,
but
Dr. Cox is the character.
Yeah, Dr. Cox and
I love Scrubs. Scrubs is such a great show.
And the guy from The Walking Dead who had his hand cut off.
I don't watch that show. So
yeah, Michael Rooker from Mallrats, the dad from Mallrats.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, the bald guy.
Yeah.
Michael Rooker and the
he's
guy.
in The Walking Dead now.
He was in The Walking Dead, like season 1 or whatever.
And he's on it.
And spoiler alert, he gets his hand cut off.
Well, good for him.
Yeah, it was only 5-6 years ago. But if you ever decide to start watching The Walking Dead, spoiler alert, his hand gets cut off. So Michael Rooker and that guy are in it, but and I mean they're good actors, but everyone else in the movie is a total unknown. So that's about it. So I think it's time. Let's wrap it up. It's 11
seriously?
o'clock. Yeah, we've been doing this for 2 hours. So anything you want to plug while we have you up here? Because do you
Simply Perfect Weddings? Yes.
Is it? Do you still have the website? Because I thought maybe I put the website in last episode.
www.rochesterperfectwedding.com.
Oh, Rochester Perfect.
Perfect Weddings. I'm sorry, Perfect Weddings.
RochesterPerfectWeddings.com.
www.rochesterperfectweddings.com.
Ah, okay. That's all right. So
I couldn't get Simply Perfect Weddings because I was taken.
Yeah, and now it's like it's not even like
it's there.
But I'm just saying is I think someone's like holding it or something, like they're waiting. I think maybe they're waiting for.
Oh, you're talking about Simply Perfect Weddings? Yeah. It's out there now?
I think someone's.
When I went to register my domain, it was being used by some company and like freaking I forgot where they were, but they were somewhere else, and they weren't even doing like wedding officiants or anything like that. Like they were.
Somebody like right now, somebody owns TwoStrangersOnePodcast.com.
Okay.
And what it is that you get it from like GoDaddy or whatever, and you pay the $12 for the year, and then if you don't renew it, which unfortunately I didn't, they go and they hold on to it, and then they're like, oh well, if you want it now it's $90.
Fuck.
So that's why I'm on twostrangersonepodcast.net. Go
Gotcha.
fuck yourself. Keep your
right.
$90. I'll keep the .net and just say it's network.
Yeah, there was some
Two
other
Strangers One
company
Podcast Network.
Yeah, there was some other company that was doing like they had that same name.
Yeah, they do
but
that.
somewhere else, and they did something completely different than what I do. And
that's the whole thing is I only know about that. Well, one, I tried to do it and like somebody owns it. I'm like, how the fuck could they own it? And I had someone email me one day, and it was it was like it wasn't like a personal name. It was like a corporate like would twostrangersonepodcast.com is now available. Visit our site, and it's like, oh, we can give it to you for $90. Fuck you, I was paying $12 for it. You know what I'm saying? So. I'm too cheap for that. So, RochesterPerfectWeddings.com.
well, no, the business is called Simply Perfect Weddings. I know it's so fucking confusing. Business is called Simply Perfect Weddings. The website itself is RochesterPerfectWeddings.com.
RochesterPerfectWeddings.com. And for all your
was way easier.
for
Wedding
your
officiant needs pretty much. I mean, like not really too much out there for this type of
audience, but you never know.
Never know.
You may know somebody. You may know somebody who wants to get married, and if you happen to be in Rochester, in the Rochester area, we may know somebody that can help you get it organized.
Okay.
So, and then I mean, you were like the last episode you're on. You were talking about expanding into DJing and stuff like that. Is that still a thing or no?
Well, I did go on a job interview for a different company actually, and
okay.
I got the "It's not us, it's you" email yesterday.
Okay.
Friday actually, so that was a good time. But that's okay. She wrote me a very lovely email. It was not like when I was like usually when you get those rejection emails from companies, they're usually pretty like standard. Like you can tell that like you've been, but she wrote me a nice one. So then told me to keep going and all this kind of stuff. And they just basically had somebody that was experienced that also came in. And
okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, so she wrote me a very nice email, so I can't even really mock it. And I'm glad I went on the interview because at least I got the experience, and everything like that. But yeah, I was disappointed that didn't pan out. But the other, there is still the one opportunity still in the background that could possibly still pan out. That whole thing depends on just basically how much business he gets.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Stay tuned. And then, all right, so, well,
that's on that one.
I have an Oscar letter, but it's kind of very rude.
Oh, what's up, Oscar?
Let's
do it. We never even, that was what they actually wanted to talk about on this episode, and we didn't even fucking touch it. Because I know that I don't know the whole Oscar story. I know I don't, because there seems to be, because, like, Paul made a comment one cast, too, and I even made a comment back. I'm like, what are you guys talking about there? Like, because he was like, oh, we like Jen now. I'm like, wait, what?
Oh, but
like, what's that all about?
Paul's an asshole. I love Paul, but he's an asshole.
Okay. So are you.
He's being... No, that's part of...
I can be when I want to be. But.
He's from that, like, if I like you, I'll break your balls kind of a, So when Paul does shit like that, it's just Paul just being an asshole. And okay, here's an Oscar letter.
Oscar right here.
All right, and it's funny because I swear I just looked this... I don't check the email until basically we're about ready to record. So he
when
goes.
Did he send it,
this was sent on March 9th, which is funny because
it's been a while.
Yeah, which is actually we released the new episode. The last one was wiretapping that ass, and that was with me and Paul.
Right, and then the one before that was you.
You and me in Rochester, Babylon. And so he goes. So Oscar writes 2 hours of that horrid laugh. He goes, "Fuck, my cock has retreated into my body."
I hope it just did again.
And I swear, Oscar, I did not read this letter. I mean, I read it like we had actually started.
My laugh's bad. You should hear my cousins. I got twin cousins, and theirs is louder. Oh yeah, louder, more annoying.
And he goes, "Dude,
absolutely, it's a Smith thing. Sorry,
dude, do us a favor. If Paul isn't available, literally grab a stranger from the street."
That's good. I gotta give him credit.
Time has proven that no female will ever replace Kristen.
Aww.
Damn, I miss her so. If she ever does a podcast, I'm out. If you keep torturing me with that Jenna laugh. So, once again...
Jen, still cool?
Jenna, so...
Alright, so Oscar's not a fan.
That's
I got a unique voice.
But there's to keep coming back, there's a certain love there. And you know what, and not for nothing, there's been some real serious like earthquake type shit going on in Peru because he's from Peru.
Oh,
so I didn't want to who knows?
You're like this fucking little bastard.
Yeah. So I mean,
he's freaking like
Yeah.
trapped under rubble.
And he literally, this was written like the day of the last episode. So this might even been written before it was released, but
so now he'll be real happy after this.
Oscar,
That's
if
all right,
you're
Oscar.
back,
You know what? The right people that I need to be around, they like my laugh.
Gotcha.
So
So
all good,
and it's
And hey, not for nothing, but you know what? The last episode that I did, how much notice did you give me on that one? Let's just point that. I mean, like, just say it.
Oh yeah. No,
It was like you called me up and you're like, "Hey, you want to record in like a couple hours?" I was like, "Okay, yeah." You know what I mean? Then today we talked this afternoon, and it was like, "Why? What's going on with this whole thing?" You said something about doing a solo show. You're like, "I tried to do one last night.
I tried.
It didn't work out."
I tried because I was so into getting an episode out there. I said, you know what, I'm going to do one by myself.
Yeah.
And I recorded it last night, and it's kind of hard to talk without having someone to kind of bounce off of.
Right.
It feels like I'm like a reporter. It feels like, all right, and then this happened. All right, and then this happened. And it's, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I love the sound of my own voice, but I mean, it didn't feel natural. It felt very pushed and forced, and I'm like, I mean, I could release it. I could have released it. Or, I could have started to release. I think about it, but I'm glad you got a hold of me, and I was like, and you said, hey, let's do an episode. So I'm kind of glad you because that I'm glad that other episode is not going to see the light of day, because it's as much as I try to be funny, you can't be funny to yourself. Saying you make a joke, if there isn't someone there to laugh at, I feel like I'm bombing up here. So and I'm pretty sure Oscar will say something like, you should have put out that other episode. It felt more like a news report than a podcast. Yeah. So, and at least I'd rather have the more natural flow of a conversation, even if it is 2 hours long. Yeah. It's just so, so that's what had happened. I was planning on, I recorded it last night, and I got out of work at 9 and I got home around 9:30, and I'm like, all right. And I sat in front of my computer and I had all my notes, the same notes I had today. And I'm like, all right. And this happened. And, all right. So let's move on. This happened. And this happened, and of course I had a lot more anti-Trump. I kind of ripped into Trump a little bit, but it's sort of, if there's no one there to feed off of it, it feels just very like blah. It felt like I'm recording a diary or something like that. Yeah. So the show needs a co-host. I mean, and plus that we're literally like 10 days away from we're about 16 days away from our 5-year anniversary. So, it would have been sad if I'm doing an episode by myself on the 5-year anniversary. Yeah. 200.
So we were recording about this time 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah, 420 was the anniversary. 420, man.
Yeah.
So
we had the Battlescar Galactica hits again there. It's all happened before, and it will all happen again.
So say we all.
So say we all.
So all right. So
yeah.
like
Sorry, you don't like the laugh, Oscar, but we love you still.
Yeah.
I got love for Oscar. I told him that before.
And I said, and look, I am like literally, I know I keep saying it, I'm like literally like tomorrow I may start calling to get Wi-Fi set up in my house.
Probably a good idea.
And
really?
and the offer has always been
so
out
soon?
there. Was that
so soon?
Well, no, I'm just saying is the offer, and I've always put the invitation out there for Oscar if he ever wanted to come on the show.
Like, what would you do? Like a Skype or something?
Yeah, that's
why not?
Well, that's when me and Paul first started doing a show. Me and Paul used to Skype together and record the Skype call.
Okay.
That's how me and Paul, and then life through that's when I was working at Rite Aid and I wasn't making any money, and not that I'm rolling into money now, but right. I have a little bit more disposable income where I'm like literally like tomorrow I'm planning on calling to get Wi-Fi set up in my house. So then and like I said, Oscar has always been invited to be on the show, and and anyone else. And so when it comes to a time where a situation like this where it's because also I mean don't be wrong, thank you for hosting me. But I feel like I'm imposing when I have to come to somebody's house like what I'm saying.
No, we're fine. I mean like I'm fine with like doing it like this or whatever like that too. No. I'm saying it to him too. Like like go. It's like well hey not for nothing dude, but like I get called in last minute and I'm like yeah sure let's fucking do it.
I think he's Oscar says horrible things about me, and when I was growing my beard
That's
long,
fine.
He was saying it was in the horrible beard
I got
and
thick skin, you know this. I can take it, man.
And I'm a fat guy who doesn't get laid, and stuff like he digs into me also. So there's a certain love there. Yeah. Back to all the plugs. Please visit twostrangerspodcast.net where you can find all things show related. You can find links to our iTunes where. You can, if you have an iPhone or iPad and iPod, you can download the episodes there. If you don't have an iPhone, an iPad, or iPod, you can download us on the Stitcher app. That's STITCHER, the Stitcher app for Android devices. You can put it on Listen Later and available offline. So what you do is, so you can get your episodes while you're in your Wi-Fi spot, when you're at home, or if you're at Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's or the public library. Get all your episodes there so you're not killing your data or your battery. And then, listen to them when you're out and about. And, definitely saves your battery when you're not using data, if you're just playing a file.
On Stitcher you're talking about,
On
right?
Stitcher, yeah. Which is
use that play later option. I do that all the time.
Yeah. We are available on SoundCloud, the SoundCloud app, and SoundCloud.com, obviously. Just search for Two Strangers, One Podcast. If you want to write the show like Oscar did, you can write us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. That's twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com, and contribute to the show the way Oscar has. Let me see what else. If you want to follow us on Facebook, we're on Facebook, facebook.com/twostrangersonepodcast. It takes 2 seconds to like the show. And of course, we want your money. We need your money. But if you can't contribute a dime, take 2 seconds and share us on your page. Like this episode, like the page. Any kind of bits has helped spread the word. We greatly appreciate it. And thank you for the people that have been sharing the episode and liking us and following us. And, what else? We do have a Facebook group out there, the Two Strangers, One Podcast Network, where I've been sort of just posting a lot of, not posting a lot, anything that kind of has to do with the show, because with the group, everyone gets the message. On a page, only for whatever reason, Facebook algorithms don't. If I put out a post on the Facebook page, not everyone gets it. If I put it in the group, everyone gets it. And that's just unfortunate Facebook algorithms. So there is a Two Strangers, One Podcast group, but it's Two Strangers, One Podcast Network as a group. Now, not all the episodes are available on Stitcher and iTunes, because that would take me forever to upload them, and maybe when I get my Wi-Fi, I will upload them all. But you can find every single episode of Two Strangers, One Podcast right now on YouTube. Just go on YouTube and search for Two Strangers, One Podcast. I've made videos out of every episode, 200 and some odd episodes. It's 200 some hours of programming, and that would definitely get our numbers up. When you see the ads before the episodes, I can't tell you to like and subscribe. I can't tell you to like the ads. I can't tell you to click on the ads, but if you did, hey, it's certainly helpful. I can't tell you to do that, though. And let me see, I can't think. We're on Twitter at Stranger Podcast, but that's basically, Twitter's just a retread of our Facebook page, and I can't think of anything else. I certainly hope you guys, anything you want to say before we go? No. Okay. We certainly hope you guys enjoyed listening and had as much fun as we did recording. Thank you for watching and listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm John.
Don't be a stranger. Peace out. Bye. You should be fapping.
All right, here we go, man. Go ahead. You want to read
Double Jackpot.
What is it?
It is a self-published book by Christopher Cologne.
Chris Cologne? Smells good to me.
But
look at her. That broke that fucking cold little exterior. He's like, hee.
But it is spelled C-O-L-O-N.
Him punny.
But Double Jackpot is a book about a comic book artist, Eric, who is in a loveless relationship with a materialistic
I feel you, Eric.
Lynette.
Oh, fucking. Are you sure I didn't write this? Sounds hauntingly familiar.
He starts cheating on his girlfriend with a more creatively supportive woman, Nadia.
Well, I gotta meet her. Where's the Nadia?
There's your summer girlfriend.
Summer Nadia is Nadia.
Nadia?
Yeah, I think Nadia is spelled with an A.
All right.
Both Lynette and Nadia play the double jackpot, the largest payout in lotto history, much like the recent Powerball. Both girls play his birth date as the winning numbers. Eric is now stuck between two of the country's richest women. Who will he choose? It's not that simple. This is a clever fucking idea,
yeah,
man.
Is.
Look at her, fucking. She's impressed.
I am.
She got some summer reading. Christopher Cologne smells real lovely with an original idea. This is. I've never heard this before.
I haven't either. This is a self-published book, much in the indie spirit as Kev's Clerks.
Oh, you don't even need to name check me. This is just a good idea. You could stand on your own, man. You don't even have to be like, hey, remember Clerks? This is nothing like that. This is way more original than Clerks. This is a good idea, man. Why didn't I think of this?
I need something to read. This book is part of the Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games Trilogy Book 2. Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, coming soon.
Right on, man. It's part of a trilogy. This is the first part.
Way to write, man.
He's seeking a literary agent. Motherfuckers, anybody out there? There ain't no literary agents listening to this show, I assure you, sure. Sure. I assure you, sure. But somebody know a literary agent? Hook a motherfucker up! Chris Cologne come up with an original idea. I should tell Raskin. That's a good fucking idea, to be honest with you. That's a fucking rom-com right there. Megan, get Raskin on the phone. Isn't it possible to get Raskin on the phone? No?
Yeah.
I want to run it past him, man. I want to, and if it happens, I get a taste, Chris Cologne. I get a whiff, if you will.
The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com.
That's lulu.com.
I understand that. I just want to spell it out.
Normally one says it, that spells it. Still, lulu.com. What is that? Do you know what it is?
I don't know. All right. The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com. Search for Double Jackpot Christopher Cologne. A paperback version of the book is $15 and a PDF file is only $5.
$5 is
Yeah.
insanely inexpensive. 15's not even that bad for a paperback version.
No.
This is $1 million idea right here. Like a movie about a dude who fucking is stuck between two chicks, both of who play his birthday and win the lottery. Come on! I can see that trailer. Chris Cologne is on to something. Nobody else can smell it but me.
I'll read it.
Thank you. I'm going to make that smelly joke.
I know. You're trying to get me to laugh again.
It worked once. Double Jackpot is a self-published book by Chris Cologne, man. It's the first book in his Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games trilogy. Book 2, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, should be coming out soon. Get all the information at Chris Cologne, like a motherfucker.
I
and
will
his
totally
book,
read this.
Double Jackpot. I'm serious. I'm going to recommend that to fucking Raskin. How is that not a movie? You know what I'm saying? This could be a sexy movie. You could do an R-rated version. There could be nudie in it, and you could show them fucking both chicks. Maybe a little penetration. Maybe a butthole shot. No butthole, no care.
I would like to formally apologize to Christopher Cologne.
No, sex sells. Chris Cologne will appreciate that. He's like, thanks for throwing a few buttholes in there, man.
Don't forget to check out twostrangersonepodcast.net, your one-stop resource for everything show-related. You can find links to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher. You could also find links to buy my book, Double Jackpot, on twostrangersonepodcast.net.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.